We have taken health for granted till we are sick. Only when we are sick, we know there is what is called health. Otherwise, it's an auto mode. And we assume that we can stand without gravity. We can stand without any support. But today, I propose to shift from a sick care, SICK, sick care, to a sustainable health sovereignty. Rooted in the ancient yet hyper-modern wisdom of Ayurveda. Nutrition from medicine, and that shift in nutrition from medicine and environment from healthcare. And that's what it is, includes lifestyle also. So therefore, the triad sustainability of food, environment, and health is at the heart of failure of erosion of this nexus over a period of time. Today, I congratulate the organizers for having selected this theme for the conference. And in this particular talk of mine, I'll be trying to give you some input on that. Food is information, as all of you know. So therefore, when you have information, then you are very rich and you can turn around the system in the way you want. Second is the internal environment. We must acknowledge, very importantly, Agni, our metabolic fire, the fire inside the belly, as Dr. Abdul Kalam used to say. But for Ayurveda, that Agni is different. Sustainable healthcare begins when we realize that the environment is just not the forest outside, not the plants outside. It is the microbiome within. We have 9 trillion microbes within us, and that demands us many things, and we succumb to it, and we ought to succumb to it. Third one, the ecological mirror. We cannot have healthy citizens on a dying planet. How do you have on a dying planet a healthy citizen? It is a myth. And today we are in the middle of it. And therefore the chemical load on the soil is exactly the chemical load in our blood. So both have to be in symbiosis. Vihara lifestyle must be an act of ecological stewardship to clean it, to make sure that if outside is clean, then the inside is also clean. The pivot of policy from individual to state, but wisdom without policy is merely a suggestion. Food is thy medicine mandate. Biodiverse. I think people like Dr. Chan, who is sitting here, is a plant physiology expert. He would say the biodiversity in India is one of the richest. From all the way from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, and from each Kutch of India to the, West Kutch of India to the eastern India, close to Vietnam, is amazingly a big country. And this biodiversity is what we want to tap in. And today the need of the hour in the policy is medical agriculture or medicinal agriculture. At one time we were begging for food in 1959, 58, when I was just an 8-year-old boy. But today we are net exporters of food. But if Ayurveda has to survive, if Ayurveda has to move forward, we require medicinal agriculture, a revolution of like tea gardens, coffee estate. We require ashwagandha estates. We require, guduchi estate. So we require this huge shift in policy, which should be one of the recommendations from this conference. Number 2, integrative clinical governance. We are talking about pluralistic healthcare. Imagine a national health service where the first line of defense is Ayurvedic preventive protocol from a youngster. That's where what we call integration in the throughout lifespan. And not that when a patient comes in the deathbed, you try one of those medicines and it may work. So therefore, it is a preventive tool that needs to be a part of lifestyle, and if not, this is not going to work the way we want to integrate and have a pluralistic health. The regenerative urbanism policy, the national policy must mandate circadian cities, I would say. Urban planning that prioritizes no light, but hygiene, green space access once in a month, local food loops with all kinds of deliveries. We need an environmental health tax on entities that disrupt the biological rhythms of our citizens. Therefore, you just heard the Delhi declaration last week about the second Ayurveda, second traditional medicine conference. Today, after almost 5,000 years, I would say, WHO has woken up. It was in a deep slumber all these years. And thanks to the present government, which took the initiative like the Yoga Day to WHO, the mandate of traditional wisdom, medicine practices, indigenous food, and so on. And today WHO has recognized this as a system of medicine. So more than 100 countries have their own system of medicine. And I think in that India tops the list of more than 5,000 to 6,000 years. And how you will write the curriculum vitae of traditional medicine of 5,000 years in one page? You cannot. That's why we have a long list of granthas. With that, I will quickly run through what I want to say as flower points or Ayurveda points. Green revolution, white revolution, grey revolution, rainbow revolution, all things happened in India. But it's time for an Ayurvedic revolution. We need to join together. We need to join together. If we don't do that, then we will lose our leadership in this science. Because this science, which is a basic science applied to society, will change with time. And the words will change. And finally, a day will come when we might have to import Ayurvedic drugs into our country because of universal regulation telling that it contains lead, it contains arsenic, it contains a lot of different bioactives whose mechanism is not known. Who said that? In fact, this has been already tried on people over 5,000 years. And if I am alive, you are alive. Your great-grandfather who has taken Ayurveda must be alive also, right? So therefore, human trial is over. But a caution. The modern science has to support it, and we need to understand the modern science with Ayurveda. Basic food grains of fruits, vegetables, dairy products, meat, fish, and poultry. It's always told in every place where Ahara is discussed. But what one forgets is the herbal, the spices, the condiments is equally important part of the food. And that's what gives bioactive, that's what gives functional molecules, and that's what gives from ashwagandha betanoside, right? You all know that. So therefore, it is very, very vital that when we talk about all these grains, dairy, meat, fish, poultry, fruits and vegetables, don't forget spices, herbs and condiments. That, without that, none of your systems will ever exist. And therefore, it is vital. All of you are good research candidates and you have done marvelous research. I just was searching many of your papers and globally. Nobody, when they publish a paper, had the guts to quote the first reference of Charaka. So when you write a paper, the first reference you have to put is Charaka Samhita, then Sushruta Samhita, then Bhava Prakasha, Madhava, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, wherever you are using, Ahara Adhikaranam, Bhojana Kutuhalam, Kshema Ahara, and also Pakashastra. Pakashastra is not 62 cooking recipes, it is 62 categories of food, like frying, baking, boiling, steaming. In each category there are 10,000 foods. So what an amount of knowledge it is. Won't you want to refer it? please refer our ancient granthas, treaties, if you at all you have a respect for our culture of Ayurveda. If you don't do that, who else will do? So therefore, my plea to all the researchers is to do that. At the same time, in the COVID time, we saw many drugs were repurposed. Today, with modern science, we can understand Ayurveda research work from a single metabolic disorder to wellness, and we need to repurpose many of them into multiple systems which can prevent, palliate, and cure many diseases. So repurposing is the second point. It's also important when we talk about Ahara, Vihara, we also worry about Pathya. Pathya is very important because unless you are focused on a food that you are giving, it won't boost itself into a nutritional pluralism and a safe nutraceutical epidemiology that brings in immunity. So therefore, you require only a few molecules like a vaccine for immunity. And you don't require tons and tons of Ayurvedic medicine. So please remember, more from less for more, right? So we sometimes give them those small gulge, small tablet, or small churna, rasayana. One spoon sakapam is already. Take a spoon, don't take it. Do you take vaccine every day in the morning like toothbrushing? No. So please realize that the immunity boosting effect of Ayurveda is very less understood, and we all need to work on that. The other point is Prakriti, which is nature, and Prakriti is me, the physiology. So therefore, we need to really understand the principles of this using modern tools. I am not telling the modern science cannot ask the question, can you prove this in Ayurveda? Well, go back to 5,000 years and travel 5,000 years, then come to me. Then you have the proof. So therefore, this is not a time to quarrel on proof, but we also should understand that these 9 trillion organisms that I mentioned to you are responsible for our Pachana Kriya, which is the digestive fire, the digestive power. It is not what you eat. I eat something. Mr. Murthy, who is going to deliver a plenary talk shortly, he will eat something. But the metabolic routes that it takes by Pachana Kriya will be entirely different. That raises the point. When I say personal food, you all think what I like, he is asking. That's not true. I think we need to consume food from a Vihara, from a Vichara, from an Ahara, to get an Arogya, which suits our physiology. Because 1.46 billion people, there are 1.46 billion physiologists. So that's why in Ahara, it's always individual. Personalized food, what makes you happy, what keeps you happy, what makes your digestion complete, and again hungry to eat again. So therefore, please remember, personalization of food, even an 85-year-old old man or woman would not have personalized food because we have not been trained like that from youngsters. So train a 5-year-old child to personalize his food over a period of time of what happens when it eats the food, which it really makes a difference for it to perform. So therefore, I would also like to say that food culture, the sixth point, the last 3 points I have to mention, Madam Chair, since it is driven by culture and civilization, we need to respect the Vihara. Indian traditional foods, Indian indigenous food, ethnic food, traditional wisdom practices does not have baked food at all. No baked food. So therefore, they must have tried and given it up because of various reasons. So we need to understand with the modern tools what's wrong with baked food and how Indian food processing market, which Dr. Jamna Prakash will be also speaking on bioactives and phytochemicals in food processing. I'm just giving a market overview. The Indian food processing market, the only country which has Ayush ministry, the only country which has Ministry of Food Processing Industry in the world. Today is a 30,000 billion rupees market. The estimate is by 2030, it should be 45,000 billion rupees. I don't speak of dollars because I don't know what dollar rate is today. I have nothing to do with dollar. I have everything to do with rupees. So please remember this, 30,000 billion rupees to 45,000 billion guaranteed. So where you want to invest your money in India? Food. Very important for investors also. I want to come to the last portion of my talk in the next 5 minutes, where people talk about diabetes. And India is the capital of diabetes, which irritates me like anything. India is not the capital of diabetes. Just because some Westerner says, we can't put the same slide here. No. For heaven's sake, if somebody says, quarrel with that fellow and say goodbye to him, because he doesn't know what is happening. India is number one in the maximum number of girl students in the world. India is number one with the maximum number of boy students in the world. The maximum number of school buses in the world. The maximum amount of biodiversity in the world. Each farmer grows different crops. So what are we talking? It's all number games. So we have to be, if we are diabetic, 10% of the population, or 10.5, the number is going to be huge. It's going to be 1.5 crores. So therefore you call it capital. But when you look at percentage of US, 11.85, and China, 12.5, you don't call it a capital because the population is less. So it's easy to label as capital. But at the same time, US is 50% obesity, China is 42%. India is just climbing up for 20% obesity. Obesity is the primary cause of non-communicable diseases. So we are doing good. Don't get scared so much. Don't get scared. We are doing good. We are excellently doing well. So we are not capital of diabetes. So don't get scared by the Western society's statements, which makes our food epidemiology, food culture, and also the climate change that is also scary many times. Therefore, when we look at embracing Ayurveda from pediatrics to geriatrics with integrated healthcare, we also look at digitization and innovative approaches. In this, the holistic approach of medicine looking at integration is very vital. And there comes innovation, investments, integration, all together. It's also important that India has to produce, whether you sleep or you wake up. I can tell in Canada how many meals we have to produce per day. Anybody can answer? Per day, India has to produce so many meals. How much is that? How many meals we have to produce? If you have a family of 5 people, how many meals you have to produce? At least 15 or 12, right? Assuming one breakfast, one lunch, and one dinner, or 2 meals, at least 10. So how much India should produce? Number of meals. To cut short time. Whatever may happen, we require 5 billion meals a day. 5 billion. Our population is to 1.46. 5 billion. This includes restaurants, kitchen, marriages, functions, seminars like this. But we also lose about 20% of that in wastage. So my request to you, my dear boys and girls, senior citizens and researchers, if in the lunch, in the dinner, in the tea time, if I see one small grain of rice is wasted, it's a shame on you. So take an oath that you will not waste food today and tomorrow here and throughout your life, because we have to produce 5 billion meals. No, just because I waste something. No, it is not that. It is not depriving somebody, but that's very difficult. So my last point to cover is, how many of you have grown paddy or wheat in your life? Raise your hand. Okay, we have 3 people. And how many people to eat? 4. We have 4 people, 5 people. Now slowly increasing. Okay, 10 people. Lelo. How many have to eat by 10 people producing? What a lazy group we are. Huh? We are a lazy group. We are absolutely a lazy group. So we are dependent upon farmer. So always, just like Dhanvantari, we also respect Ahara from that point. I will conclude my talk by telling Ahara and Vihara must be Swachha, clean, Shamshuddha, pure, both Ahara and Vihara. Suraksha, safe, Sumanaka, well balanced. Sanskrit word is that. And Supatya, personalized food, I already talked to you. And Sukarmika, in the right sequence, we have to be able to, embrace that. Swastya brings health. Sankhya brings wellness. There is a word in Sanskrit called Sankhya for wellness. Okay? Shrestha, high quality, of course. And Swamulya should be affordable also. And it also has to be Sampurna. There is no English translation for Sampurna. Sampurna is Sampurna. So in telling that, my talk is also coming to that Sampurna. And it also gives Shanti. The Vihara and Ahara. When we do on that Vichara, it gives us Shanti. I would say, I'm reminded of a famous statement in Sanskrit. My Sanskrit teacher taught us to by heart. So I had no choice, and I have by-hearted that. And that says like this: Ati parichaya davagna santata gamanada nadaro bhavantu malaye Bear Hills malaye billapurandri chandana taru kashtam indanam kurute. Those who know Sanskrit would appreciate. It means that don't downgrade a person because somebody is an Ayurvedic doctor and I am a MD, triple MD from that school, this school. We are all equal in knowledge. Let us share our knowledge together. And with that, in offering pranams to Divine God Dhanvantari to keep us all healthy in the coming new year, I conclude my Vichara of Ahara, Vihara, and also the lifestyle, which is very, very important for us to consider. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Jai Karnataka, Jai.
Cauvery Group of Institutions, CCARD and Maharaja Institute of Ayurveda welcomes you all to the International Conference on Intersecting Nutrition, Lifestyle Medicine and Sustainable Healthcare.
Dr. Aparna Surendra ma'am,
In collaboration with SDMIMD, Mysuru.
Thank you, Dr.
We are not just looking back at 5,000 years of wisdom, we are looking forward. CCARD is hub for
a wide aspect, sustainable wisdom of Ayurveda for quality Ahara, Vihara and Arogya. You enlightened all of us regarding the untouched aspects of medical agriculture, quoting biodiversity, and preventive tool of Ayurveda. And you also said there should be Ayurveda evolution in view of Ahara, Vihara and Arogya. You also highlighted on immunity boosting medicines of Ayurveda and personalization of food. What almost all the doctors are practicing, Patya concept of Ayurveda. It's highly personalized. We cannot make generalized rules on Patya. And also, most important you told was about Vihara and your reassurance, because all medias and scientific data are covering as India is becoming capital of diabetes mellitus. So you, depending on the ratio, we cannot call. So we have to look towards the percentage of diabetic people in India's population. So that assurance was given. So we are on the good going now. So only the thing is, we have to imbibe all these, what is stored in Ayurveda, ancient system of medicine regarding Vihara, Ahara. So Chandogya Upanishad, I would like to quote a shloka. Ahara Shuddhau Sattva Shuddhi Sattva-shuddhau dhruva-smriti smriti-lambe sarva-granthinam vipramokshaha. So, aharanam iti ahara, the matter which comes from outside, gets digested, assimilated and builds the swarupa, tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam, that is Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. So it makes your swarupa nirmana. So 50% of food and 50% of impressions, thoughts make us. Father of medicine, Hippocrates says, tell me what you eat, I will tell you what you are, and thy food is thy medicine. So because of ahara, there will be purification of the inner nature, that is mind, and because of the purification of mind, there will be memory, good memory, which leads you towards liberation. So constant memory of God leads to the liberation, moksha. So that was told long back in the Chandogya Upanishad. And even Lord Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, he is a yogi whose food, sleep, memory, awareness, cheshta and all karmas are regulated and balanced. Yukta ahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkaha. Even naturopathy also being a speciality from naturopathy, I would like to quote. So he asked you, speaker asked you, how many times usually we have the food. So naturopathy, it is one principle among the Panchatantra in naturopathy also, 2 times food a day. So 2 liters of water a day, 2 times prayer a day, 1 day fasting. So today we are hearing about fasting, not only nutrition. So it is making big sound as it detoxifies the body. So Langhanam Paramaushadam. So these are the 5 principles and 1 hour exercise daily. These are the 5 Panchatantras according to naturopathy also. So thank you sir very much for touching every nook and corner of all the concepts of Ayurveda and bringing here today for this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for beautifully summing it up. May I now request Dr. Aparna Surendra, ma'am, to kindly felicitate Dr. Prakash, sir. Thank you, dignitaries. May I now request Dr. Purnima V, ma'am, Organizing Secretary, to felicitate Dr. Aparna, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to the next session. This session will be chaired by Dr. Venkatakrishna KV, Principal, Government Nature Cure and Yoga Medical College, Mysore. And it is our privilege to have with us our distinguished speaker, Shri Rajendra Damodar Yankanmule, founder of Vasudeva Kriya Yoga, Melbourne. May I now invite both the dignitaries on the dais. Shri Rajendra Damodar Yankanmule sir, has received the Prime Minister's Award for the outstanding contribution to the propagation of traditional yoga on the global stage. We heartily welcome you, sir. Now I would request sir to kindly come on the stage and share his insights with us.
Cauvery Group of Institutions, CCARD and Maharaja Institute of Ayurveda welcomes Shri Rajendra Damodar Yankanmule. Founder of Vasudeva Kriya Yoga, Shri Rajendra Damodar is a visionary leader who has expanded holistic wellness from Melbourne to a global stage. A scholar with a doctorate in yoga and master's degrees in engineering and business, he uniquely bridges professional excellence with deep spiritual wisdom. Honored with the Anugraha Prashasti for community service, he remains a dedicated advocate for the spiritual and transformative essence of yoga worldwide. We look forward in hearing him talk on Ahara, Vihara, Vichara, inspirations from Bhagavad Gita. Dear delegates, chairing this session is our distinguished chairperson, Dr. Venkata Krishna, Principal of Government Nature Cure and Yoga Medical College, Mysuru. Cauvery Group of Institutions, CCARD and Maharaja Institute of Ayurveda welcomes you all to the International Conference on Intersecting Nutrition, Lifestyle Medicine, and Sustainable Healthcare. In collaboration with SDMIND, Mysuru. We are not just looking back at 5,000 years of wisdom, we are looking forward. CCARD is hub for clinical, translation and interdisciplinary research. Today, we open doors to innovation that honors ecological and modern science alike. CCARD, Mysuru nurturing the future of integrative medicine. Thank you for joining in our journey to
Om Dhyo Shanti, Antariksham Shanti, Prithvi Shanti, Apashanti, Vanaspataya Shanti, Vishwe Deva Shanti, Brahma Shanti, Sarvam Shanti, Shanti Reva Shanti. Shubhodaya, good morning all, good morning Mysore. The type of vehicle we use is dependent on the destination we want to reach. It's if to reach Mysore, I travel from Bangalore, I cannot come on a push bike if I want to reach on a time. The distance we can cover, like to cover, the vehicle requires appropriate fuel also. The fuel required by a rocket, or an aeroplane, or a train, car, electric car is different. The fuel also different. This body is a vehicle. How much we want to travel in our life is dependent. Vehicle itself cannot go. This body is a vehicle. It cannot, I can sit there, I cannot travel. To travel, what inspires this body is the Vichara, mind. Mind determines how far I travel in my life. The mind is a Vichara, the body cannot travel. The fuel, what is required, propels the Vichara is called as Ahara. The type of Ahara, if my Vichara, I want to travel further, long and higher, the food also should be right. In the scriptures talks about the Sattvic Ahara is prescribed if you want to travel further and higher in your life. Sattvic Ahara is recommended. If my ambition to travel only a moderate distance and I want to travel quickly, what is recommended is rajasic food. It's a quick reaction, but you can't travel further. But for people, no goal, no aspiration to travel, they are satisfied with what is called as the tamasic food. The tamasic food will bring them, they won't travel further in their life. And the Ahara, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, our previous talker also, sir, I was in Delhi last week for a WHO conference, where our Prime Minister ji, he mentioned Ashwagandha. He wants the Ashwagandha, India to be a global exporter of Ashwagandha. He impressed on that one, our previous talker, our Shri Prakash ji, he mentioned that one. And the Ahara, the type of Ahara you have to take is Yukta. What is called as Yukta, what is appropriate for you, appropriate to realize your goal. Whatever is your Vichara, you have to have that type of Ahara. Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about Yukta Ahara. Our Prakash ji also mentioned, it's a custom made. The food for him may not be suitable for me. Many places they do Vataya. In Kannada they say Vataya. Please, I prepared this one, have 2 more jamun, 4 more jamun. Not Vataya, custom made. Yukta Ahara. You, our Swamiji in Himalaya, he was saying, even after 40, if you do not know what agrees to your body, you are a fool. You have to know what agrees to you. Yukta Ahara, right food. The food where you want to travel, Yukta Ahara, Viharasya, your recreation, your friend circle, type of friends you have, it will determine your mind also. Vihara, that recreation, how much you want to recreate. Yukta Ahara Viharasya Yukta Chestasya Karmasu. Some people in the IT job, whole night, 12 hours job, 15 hours job. Our Narayan Murthy ji was saying that mandatory 12 hours a day work like a donkey. It is not that one. Work appropriately. You are not born here to live as a bonded slave for your employer. You should have freedom in your life. You should enjoy your life. You are not a bonded laborer and working up to 70 years. I want to make one more extra dollar. You are not here just to make one more extra dollar. You are here to travel further in your life. And Yukta Chestasya Karmasu, Yukta Swapna Avabodhasya. Swapna means one is sleep, another one is the dreaming. Dream big. You have to dream big in your life, not ordinary dreaming. Yukta Swapna Avabodhasya. Wake up to the right cause. And Yalisha Sarvabhutanam Tasyam Jagrati Sayami Yasyam Jagrati Bhutani Sanishamish Pashyato Munehe. You, if the whole world is awake for something, the aspirer is not interested. Everyone is running towards that one. But great aspirer, when that person is awake, others are not interested. Not to be part of the majority. Be proud to be a minority. Be proud to be a minority, then alone you can stand out in the crowd. Not everyone is doing, I also want to do. No. Be a leader, be proud to be a minority. Yukta Chestasya Karmasu, Yukta Swapna Avabodhasya, Yogo Bhavati Dukkha. And the next, the line, and the mastering the tongue, the tongue is connected to the Swadhisthana Chakra. It is also connected to the sex gland. It is even to the great yogis, piercing through the Swadhisthana Chakra, they say it is very challenging. I can give a big lecture on the type of food, but the tongue, we are all slave to the tongue. Tongue is connected to the second chakra from the base, Swadhisthana Chakra. The Swadhisthana Chakra, the mastering that one, what is required is Achara. Achara means you have to have a regularity, principle-driven life. When the Achara is there, then Vichara also changes. Achara is there, and I am not living for somebody. You live for yourself. When you start living for yourself, it's Achara. You have your own discipline. Have a discipline in your life, regularity in life. Get up in the right time every day. Sleep in the right time. Come what may. If the other day somebody asked me, can you join online call for 10 o'clock? I said, sorry, I am not available. Have regularity. Have a set day. Let them change their timing to suit you. I am not here. Anytime I am available. Achara, have when to get up, when to sleep. You know that one. Achara leads to Vichara. Vichara leads to the type of food I eat. And the type of food again inspires my thinking. And Bhagavad Gita Shri Krishna talks about if you are want to travel further and higher in your life, the Ayusatvam Balarogyam Sukha Priti Vivardhana Rasya Snigdha Sthira Hridya Ahara Satvika Priyaha. Have the food which gives the health, long life, sattva, very nourishing and good for your heart, good for your digestion, no constipation and nourishing. And that type of food you eat, that is the sattvic people. The rajasic people, they have a moderate goal, but the rajasic food leads to sickness. Frequently I am breaking down. I am breaking down in my life. If I have a car, if it is breaking down often, I can't travel. I don't have confidence. Confidence in my life. Why I am breaking down? Mind your food. Khatvaamla lavanas ati ushna tikshna ruksha vidahinaha ahara rajasasyeshta dukkha shokamaya prada. The food which is not agreeable to you, if you are eating that one out of compulsion, it will lead to sickness and sorrow in your life. And for the tamasic people, come what may, I don't care what I eat. As long as I dump something through your mouth. The tamasic people, yatayam gatarasam puti pariyushitam chayat, uchishta chama cha medyam, bhojanam tamasa priyam. The tamasic people, they have no care what they are eating, any junk food. Junk food they are eating, and in the sattvic food, it is not very tempting. Many people are not tempted towards that one because very bland. It is simple food. Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita talks about, initially it sounds to be simple, but it gives a lot of joy in your life. Et agre vishamiva pariname amritopamam tat sukham satvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. Initially it sounds to be very bland food. Many people in Australia also, they say, oh vegetarian, oh, you are eating grass. For them it is ridicule. But those who have commented, they are not in their innings has finished. My innings is still going. Initially appeared to be very bland, but end result is good. That is the sattvic food. And the digestion in Mahabharata, in Vidura Niti, Vidura talks about the whole life we are busy making one extra dollar. More rich you become, poor is your metabolism, your digestion. Rich people generally have weak digestion. More you accumulate, but you can't consume. I acquire, but digestion is not there. The digestion food I have eaten, I can't consume. I can't enjoy. The food stays here. I have to take laxative and purgative too. I cannot digest, I cannot assimilate. And Vidura Niti, that it is Mahabharata also talks about, the food you eat, you should be able to digest. The money you earn, you should be able to digest and assimilate. I don't want to, I earn so much, but I don't want to give anything. I want to see my bank balance go up. One who has not sharing, that person generally falls sick. Our standard of living cannot go up by raising the height of the ceiling. The standard of living goes up by reducing the personal maintenance cost. Personal cost, physical level and mental level, reduce your personal needs. If I don't do that one, my personal need is so high, where is the time, energy for giving to others? If I want to travel, reduce, standard of living is so high, my requirement is so low. When my requirement is so low, health improves. Health improves with that one, and the fire, the eating, digestion is not in my control. What is that fire? It is talk about, Sri Krishna talks about, I am that digestive fire. Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamashritah Pranapana Samayukta Pachami Annam Chaturvidam. I am that digestive fire. So, when the Bhagavan himself is a digestive fire in my stomach, I cannot say I am digesting. He is the digestive fire. He makes the food I have put in, makes it digestion, makes it. So, when I am putting the food down to him as an offering, then my eating also becomes a yajna. When my eating is a yajna, I cannot eat willy-nilly. I cannot eat whatever I want. I cannot eat junk food. So, it is a yajna. When I am doing that one, the yajna, you are doing that one, Brahmarpanam, Brahmavihi, Brahmagno, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. Then my eating also is a yajna. When I am offering to the Bhagavan in the God in the stomach, I give the best. What is right for that one, I do that one. And as my previous speaker, he mentioned the regularity in eating and langanam paramaushadam. Fasting also is important. The fasting periodically fast helps in flaring up the fire in the body. Fire in the body, and our previous moderator also, she mentioned Ahara from Chandogya, Ahara Shuddho, Sattva Shuddhi, Sattva Shuddho, Dhruva Smriti, Smriti Lambe, Sarva Granthi, Nami Pramokshaha. The food, right food, gives the right sharp memory. Many people, they say, I don't remember anything because of the food. With the sattvic food, your mind is very good. And your achara, you are proud of your achara, and mind is very good. And I was telling other youth event also, we are playing a game of our life. When I am playing the game of my life, this is a game I am playing, you are playing your game. How you finish your game of your life depends on how you lived. I talked about in one of the lectures, learn to live. Learn to live. When you want to live, how you live depends on how you live. How you live, it depends. And when I am finishing the game of my life, I should live on a positive note. Positive note. I should be proud of myself. I live this way, not in a regret. Majority, they regret. I squandered my life. Opportunity. Smriti Lambe. That when the last minute I should remember the good things, noble things, whatever I have acquired, I should remember. I should not finish the game of my life in delusion, confusion, regret. So, Ahara Shuddho, when you do that one, memory, my Agnena Supataraye Asman, when my last finishing is there, please remember whatever I have done. May you remember, also make me remember all good things I have done. May I not finish my game of my life in regret. So, Ahara plays a very good, important role in that one. In Chandogya further says, the gross food what we eat comes out as a stool, and the mid part of the foot and the subtle part of the foot goes into Jaisa an Aisa man, goes to the mind. Type of the food determines your thinking. The drink, the gross drink comes out as a urine. The fine the drink, it is goes out as a talking. The slurry, alcohol, if you consume, your speech becomes very slurry. Your drink and food, it is very important. And Shvetashvatara Upanishad talks about the Agni, Yoga Agni. You awaken the Agni, Vaishwanara Agni. It is talking about Natasya Rogo na Jarana Mrityu. Yoga Agni Ayam Shariram. Lagutvam Arogyam. Aloluptam Varana Prasadam Swarasrostram. Mutra Purishi Alpam Yoga Pravritim Pratamam Vadanti. The good health, it is talking about Shvetashvatara. Yoga Agni is there, Natasya Rogo, you won't be falling sick often. Last 25 years I have been taking class, and never once I called off the class. I am calling off the class today because I am sick. I never cancelled one class. Last 25 years. Yoga Agni, Ayam Shariram. This is there, Yoga Agni, Ayam Shariram. Then it is Lagutvam. You feel the lightness in the body. Lagutvam, Arogyam, Varana Prasadam. Glow in the skin increases. Your speech quality increases. If you want to improve the quality of food, awaken the Agni in the body, your speech quality increases. And our Ashtanga Hridaya also, the Hita book, Mita book, Ruta book, Natu Rogo Rogi Bhavanti, that the right food according to the season and limited, and what is agreeable you have to consume. And now another, I have 10 more minutes. I will give some practical tips also. This is the theory part. From the yoga point, I will, one is try to, now it's a vogue, wherever party is there, we eat standing up. Avoid eating standing up. And it is okay that maybe a big event also, try to sit on the ground and not to be ashamed of your culture, tradition. Be proud of your culture and tradition. Sit on the ground and eat. When you do that one, your lower aperture closes. The Agni flares up. Sit down on the ground and eat. It is good for your daily practice. And Vajrasana. Sit in Vajrasana. Vajrasana helps in hastening your the digestion. And the third one, people with weak digestion, bend your ring finger, wrap your thumb around in both hands. This improves the Agni in the body. People with obesity problem, even when you are going for a walk, you bend your ring finger. This is a Surya Mudra. Agni increases. Go for a walk. Agni increases. And the last one, for improving the people with weak digestion, close your left nostril, inhale and exhale through the right nostril for 20 times. We will do that one. Yeah. Left hand, you feel the body warming up. Left hand, bend your left ring finger. Wrap your thumb around. Tip of the ring finger is coming to the base of your thumb. Close your left nostril. Inhale through right. Long inhale. And longer exhale. Long inhale. Longer exhale. 3. Long inhale. Exhale. exhale, and you must be feeling hungry already. And with this, I will conclude my talk, and I thank the organizers for inviting me here to share my experience. Dhanyavad. And now, a couple of minutes, we can have a question and answer, any question, comments, and after that, our moderator will take over. Any? Okay, no, I have given 7 minutes back. Back to you. And okay, anyone has any comment? If not,
Thank you, sir. It was indeed an insightful session. May I now request Dr. Venkatakrishna KV, sir, to kindly felicitate Sri Rajendra, sir.
Do I need to come? Do I need to come there?
I would like to request Dr. Venkatakrishna, sir, to sum up the session.
and one more thing, our Prism Book House, they published 14, 15 of my books. Recent publication is Aim High, Achieve Great, Live Beyond Your Shelf Life. Every product has a best before and expiry date. So is this body. Before the best before date happens, and think Achara, Vichara, Ahara, and travel further. And when the body collapses, how do you live beyond your shelf life? That book, our Pranesh ji, it's a book counter is there, you can browse through. Thank you, sir.
Namaste everyone. Respected speaker, esteemed colleagues and friends. To sum up the session in single line, how do you live depends on how do you live depends on how do you live. So that is the thing to be taken from Sri Rajendra Damodar Enkamule. I don't feel much difference between Ayurvedic perspective and Bhagavad Gita perspective. Ayurveda tells Ahara sambhavam vastuhu rogascha ahara sambhavaha. So this body is made out of food, and the diseases are also because of the food what we eat. And why we are doing all this is sukhartaha sarvabhutanam mataha sarvaha pravrittayaha. So we are doing to attain sukha. According to Ayurveda, the cause of any disease is asatmendriyartha sanyoga, prajnaparada and parinama. For all indriya swasthya, so asatmendriyartha sanyoga means improper usage of your senses. To have control over your senses, you need to have a strong mind. For that, you need to have good food. So food is the basic thing for anything, and because of that we are getting so many problems because what we are eating is all nonsense things. He was telling, we are eating, in the standing posture. We should sit and eat. So all this it is there, but the thing is we are not following anything. He classified the foods into, according to Bhagavad Gita, Sattvika, Rajasika and Tamasika, and most of us eat the Tamasika and Rajasika type of food. That is why we are not having control on the mind, and in turn we don't have control on the senses. To have whatever that is why it is important to take food as if you are doing some yajna. So he told, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritaha from Bhagavad Gita. The same thing, it is there in Marathi literature and which is followed by the Ramdasi Paddhati. Vadani Kavala Gheta Namaghya Sri Hariche Sahaja Havana Hote Namagheta Pokache Jivani Kari Jivitva Anna He Purna Brahma Udara Barna Nohe Janije Yajna Karma. That means it is not just Vadani Kavala Gheta. Whenever you are taking food, each morsel, you should chant the name of God. Then it becomes Sahaja Havana Hote. So it is like, just like Yajna. So it is also called, taking food is also called Atma Yajna. So it becomes, when you start taking food along with the name of God, it becomes like Yajna. Sahaja Havana Hote, Namagheta Pokache. Jivani Kari Jivitva Anna He Purna Brahma. It is not just for life, it is Purna Brahma. Udara Barna Nohe Janije Yajna Karma. You have to think that it is like Yajna. So he has showed us whatever the principles which are there in Bhagavad Gita to live and leave the body. Let us take inspiration from this talk to prescribe not only medicine but also Gita guided Ahara, Vihara, Vichara. So because, see, according to Ayurveda, the functional aspects, the disease causing things are doshas. It is produced by the food what we eat and the direction is given by Vihara. So that is the activities. So which is induced by Vichara. So we shall take the inspiration from this talk. With this, on behalf of all of us, a heartfelt thanks to Sri Rajendra Damodarji, and I thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now request Dr. Venkatakrishna sir to felicitate Sri Damodarji. May I now request Dr. Krishna Prasad sir, Conference Chair, to felicitate Dr. Venkatakrishna sir. I would like to call upon Dr. Shenoy sir to felicitate Dr. Venkatakrishna sir.
We will now proceed for the tea break. Kindly note for all the VIPs, delegates, tea has been arranged right outside the auditorium hall. For all the students, it has been arranged in the food court. We will resume the session in half an hour. All are requested to assemble back by 11:30 a.m. sharp to resume the sessions. Thank you.
Cauvery Group of Institutions, CCARD and Maharaja Institute of Ayurveda welcomes you all to the International Conference on Intersecting Nutrition, Lifestyle Medicine, and Sustainable Healthcare. In collaboration with SDMIND, Mysuru. We are not just looking back at 5,000 years of wisdom, we are looking forward. CCARD is hub for clinical, translation and interdisciplinary research. Today, we open doors to innovation that honors ecological and modern science alike. CCARD, Mysuru nurturing the future of integrative medicine. Thank you for joining in our journey towards global wellness.
Check.
I request all of you to please take your seats. The sessions are about to begin. Kindly take your seats. The sessions are about to begin. Moving on to the next session. This session will be chaired by Dr. Sajita K, Principal and CMO, Sri Sri College of Ayurvedic Science and Research, Bangalore. And it is our privilege to have with us our distinguished speaker, Dr. Bhashpati Bhattacharya, Fulbright Scholar, Physician Scientist and Clinical Assistant Professor at Weill Cornell Medical College, New York. I request Dr. N.V. Krishnamurthy sir to welcome our speakers of today and the chair. I request Sajita madam and Bhaswati madam to come over the dais. Thank you, sir.
Cauvery Group of Institutions, CCARD and Maharaja Institute of Ayurveda welcomes Dr. Bhaswati Bhattacharya. A Fulbright Nehru Scholar and Professor at Weill Cornell Medical College, Dr. Bhaswati Bhattacharya is a world-renowned physician scientist bridging biomedicine and Ayurveda. With over 20 years of experience at institutions like Banaras Hindu University, her research and teaching have set new standards for integrative medicine. She is a passionate advocate for evidence-based holistic health. She continues to mentor practitioners worldwide in the science of personalized, ancient healing. We look forward in hear her talk on evidence-based lifestyle medicine and its Ayurveda correlates. Dear delegates, chairing this session is our distinguished chairperson Dr. Chandrasekhar, Principal and CMO at Sri Sri College of Ayurvedic Science and Research, Bengaluru.
Now I request Madam to kindly take over the session. Welcome, Madam. Good morning. We have 9 more minutes of morning, so good morning. I'll speak in English. If you can't understand, please raise your hand and I will try to speak slower. Or I can speak in Bangla, apnara jo Bangla bujhte paren. Or maybe in Hindi if that's easier, but I think English will work. So I'm Dr. Bhaswati. My email is there if you want to take it. I think it will be on the last slide as well. And I think I had a pointer. No pointer. But let's see, because this should go down. No, this is not going to work because this is a PDF. Oh, great. So I am a modern doctor, but I also have a lineage from Ayurveda. And so I begin with obeisance and pranams to all of the teachers that I had on the left side are my modern doctor teachers. I first started with a PhD in neuroscience and pharmacology, so I have training in modern medical laboratory research, and that's basic science as well as clinical science. And then I did a degree in public health, so I traveled around the world doing medical missions where I found that a lot of people use medicines outside of allopathy. And because biomedical research is all about scientific parameters, I thought that that was the only science, because that's what I had really come to learn is respected. And if you get high marks on your exams, you're always pushed toward biomedical training and not toward any other science. So only after all of that biomedical training, I was told go to medical school. So I did. In America, it's not a bachelor's MBBS, it's a doctorate. So it's called an MD. The education system is very different there. So first I did 4 years of bachelor's, and then I did master's, and then PhD, and then I did public health. Then I went to medical school. So I was in my 30s already. And at that time, I was already, I didn't drink the Kool-Aid, as they say. How many of you understand what that means, drinking the Kool-Aid? Okay, a couple of you. So what it means is that someone feeds you something to drink and you believe things blindly. So I did not believe that biomedicine was the only way of curing and helping patients. And that was because when I traveled around the world as a public health person, I saw that a lot of people would say that there were side effects and problems from modern medicine, and modern medicine didn't account for certain parameters. And that made it very difficult for them to follow allopathic medicine only. So they would use whatever was the tradition of their culture. So by the time I entered medical school, I was very interested that people are blindly taught to follow biomedical thinking, and that is science. So I went through medical school and I learned how to be a good clinician, and I was always watching the patient. And the way I got into Ayurveda is that as a doctor, and I had some awards and things, and so I'd gone to some good schools. And these men, you can kind of see that they're all men on this side of it. Actually on that side too, but my mom is there. And they had really convinced me that I had to be very biomedical. So what I saw about my patients is that they had a different way of looking at things and incorporated their culture. So after medical school, I was asked to do a film by National Geographic where they took me to Kerala and we saw patients and we discussed what we were seeing. And that film is now, you can get it on Amazon and see it on YouTube.
That film is called Healer's Journey into Ayurveda. And I saw things with my own eyes that I had not seen in a hospital, and I've worked in some of the best hospitals. So I wondered what is going on. And I knew that it wasn't just about the medicine, it was also about lifestyle. But I hadn't understood how to do it. And when I got into this film experience, I realized there was a whole ocean of things to learn, the samudra of wisdom. So a few people saw the film, and one of them asked me to come and see his place and had my kundalini done. And my kundalini said that my guru was coming. And I said, gurus don't work. It's a thing from old times, and gurus are corrupt. And in schools in Kolkata, the guru was someone who harassed the student, basically. Guru dakshina do, ye karo, wo karo. And I didn't want a guru, but he was different. And he taught me a lot of things. He was in the last slide on the right side. And I started learning Ayurveda through Gurukul. And I will tell you that even though you're in a college, the only way to really learn proper Ayurveda is through Gurukul. That means that while you have to get the degree of BAMS by being in school here, you should find someone either in your native place or in Mysore. There are plenty of people. Quietly go to them, tell them that you're in school, and volunteer with them one night per month or per week if you can, but usually it's like every 2-3 weeks, maybe Friday night, maybe Saturday night. Go and attend their clinic with them. And as you are reliable and are able to see the patients, you will start learning Ayurveda at a different level, because you'll see not just the medicine they give, but the lifestyle and various Ahara, Vihara that we're going to talk about today. I want to share that with you because when we start talking about evidence, people think that it's only the Oshadi that you give. And that Oshadi also is an oral, some kind of, maybe it'll be a kashaya or a gritam, but usually it's a tablet or a capsule. And it's a new kind of way of doing Ayurveda for the modern world. I know that that's the popular way, but Ayurveda is about shifting the doshas. So I'll finish my story. I went to medical school, I made the film, and then I practiced slowly after I learned Ayurveda through Gurukul. And my guru allowed me to start doing Nadi Pariksha, and then he said I was good enough to start reading the Granthas, and then I was selected for an award called a Fulbright, which is very prestigious in America, and they give you actually a lot of money. I bought a flat with that money, and they give you the chance to study. So I went to Banaras Hindu University, because no one in the South would accept me because I don't speak the languages here. And so I went to Banaras Hindu University, and the dean there, Professor C.B. Jhasar, asked me if I would be interested in doing a PhD, which I was. And so I spent now 9 years. After my whole first career of allopathic medicine, I've spent 9 years in India, full-time, trying to become as good as those of you who are learning Ayurveda first time. So, pronouns to you that you're going through BAMS and that you will become actual BAMS doctors. I'm very proud of you. So I considered you to be my seniors because I never did a BAMS. So I'm not, Rajesh Kotecha will not give me a license. He will not allow me to practice in India. So I do this kind of thing where I'm an apprentice of an Ayurvedic doctor, and then we see patients together so that I can do it legally. But all of you will have that ability. And what I have learned from my guru, which is actually the main teacher for me, and then there's all the stuff you do in school where you have to take classes, and I'm kind of making fun of it because you all know what a pain it is to do it, but just do it because it will teach you stamina and discipline. And while you do it, make sure that you're reading on your own, you're learning the things from times ancient, and you're learning that it's all about shifting the doshas. There are people in the Ayurvedic community who tell you that doshas are not real. I think many of you have read those articles. That article is a very important article, that someone who can say, I'm not sure there's a dosha, is simply saying, I never learned Ayurveda from a really good teacher. because the teachers here who are going to teach you well are going to tell you, you can shift doshas using so many different modalities. And a lot of it is about your lifestyle. So we're going to talk about some of the evidence for lifestyle. JAMA, which is the Journal of the American Medical Association, is very highly prestigious and considered to be a very high impact reference for modern medical doctors. They have finally discovered that lifestyle might have something to do with people's diseases, which I think is actually very funny. This came out in 2010. This article that says physicians should be competent for prescribing lifestyle medicine. Imagine that for 100 years they never thought that lifestyle was important, whereas in Ayurveda we talk about Ahara, Vihara very much so. So the usual talk is that you just do some diet, some exercise, some stress management, some habits about sleep, and then you understand that that's all there is to it. But Ayurveda really spends time on the pillars of Ahara, Vihara, Oshadam, and also the Ahara, Nidra, and Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya does not mean celibacy. It means charya towards Brahma. That means being united in one. And in some cases, that will mean having very good intimate relationships. So relationships is what I take out of the term Brahmacharya. That's kind of a tantra yukti. It's like a between the lines kind of meaning. But that's a very, very important part of lifestyle medicine. And there's a lot of evidence that our relationships and how we conduct ourselves, not having immaturity, but having forgiveness, not going into our kama, krodha, lobha, right, in our shadripu, but actually maturing ourselves is a big part of having good cardiac health, good immune health, and prasanna, which is happiness in our hearts. So remember that there is evidence for that, if the science evidence is what you consider important. But remember that modern medicine is just discovering that this is important, whereas you guys have this in your Swastavritta, and actually from the first year, if you read Ashtanga Hridayam, you have it, in those early teachings. So modern medicine says, oh, you know what, we just discovered there's something outside of disease intervention. There's also health promotion and health maintenance and disease prevention. And they're just discovering this now. So they think this is a really great thing. We already know about many of these things. We're going to talk about some of those. So now there's a big thing about personalized medicine. This article came out about 17 years ago, and it's a P4 medicine. Four P's are predictive, preventive, personalized, and participatory medicine. That's the patient should actually participate in their care. And there is evidence that if the patient participates in their care, they'll do well. I kind of laugh at that because I know that if the patient doesn't participate, like how is there going to be any effect? But for them, it's considered to be a very important part of discovering the patient. So working together with the patient is important. Meanwhile, in Ayurveda, we also have personalized medicine, but we individualize our treatments using this shloka, which frankly was not taught to me when I studied Ayurveda in the US. And when I came to BHU, and I've been around a lot of medical colleges, they never taught this. And I think this is one of the cruxes for all of you who are students now, to go back against your cousins and uncles and say, oh, you're just in Ayurveda, there's no system, there's no evidence. This lecture should give you some of that ammunition to talk with them. And you can say, go through each of these. Ahara avastha. So if you can go through each of these and say, okay, how many different shishas are there? How many different deshams are there? Internal desham, external desham. How can I judge the bala of the body? How can I look at the kala of the body? And you go through each part. You should be able to individualize for the patient. And I use this. I have a whole algorithm now where I go through each of these factors. When you get experience, when you become an MD student and then start practice, you'll get very good doing this automatically, because you know this is the desha, this is the ritu, this is the bala of the patient, this is the sattva of the patient, this is the vayas, the age of the patient, and you will personalize very quickly. So let's get into some evidence. Sorry. So first of all, I like arguing with scientists about what is evidence. Because Ayurveda में कोई evidence नहीं है. अरे बाबा, look in PubMed. When are you going to realize there are tens of thousands of articles of evidence in Ayurveda? They don't want to look. Then I start telling them, you want evidence? And when they fight with me, so I'm a pitta, if you haven't figured that out. I like to fight sometimes to argue, because I think that they are unnecessarily putting down Ayurveda when they don't need to be. So I'm a very big kind of warrior for Ayurveda. I don't push it on people, but I push against the scientists. So they'll say, where's the evidence? I'll say, first of all, do you want to talk evidence? Better. The number 3 cause of death in America is modern medicine. The number 3 cause of death, not hair fall, not indigestion, not skin rash, death. तो आप आपका औषधि लेंगे और फिर मर जाएंगे. I'm sorry. You're going to take some medicine and you're going to die. How is that medicine? That's the data. That's the evidence. If you want evidence-based medicine, that's evidence, right? So this is before I start telling you about Ayurveda. Then I say, look at this study that was done by Ibel and colleagues. 3,251 recommendations analyzed from modern medicine practice. And of them, only 18% are evidence-based. So if you're telling me that I should have evidence-based medicine, where is your evidence-based, right? So this is one of the techniques of Tarka, debate, that you should step back and tell them, if you're going to talk about evidence, show me your evidence, right? Show your cards if you're going to play this. And this article is actually worth if you take some, no one's taking screenshots, so I guess you're not so interested, but usually, if you take these screenshots and go and study this, and actually maybe Shilpa is going to make sure you get the slides, but you should definitely look up this study and use it for anyone that argues with you about evidence. So many of you know I have been traveling around the world, but I am based in the US now. I went back from my years of India in 2023, and I've been kind of unsettled there. Unsettled because of the politics in the US right now, and that they're not respecting India very much. But I do find that I'm following Ayurveda everywhere, and with the global recognition of Ayurveda, many of the politicians who have no science background will come and say, well, we can't recognize Ayurveda as a medical system because there's no evidence. So again, you have to have that evidence strong, and you have to have confidence and speak with a low voice. And don't ask it as a question. Just say, there is plenty of evidence in Ayurveda. Would you like to share with you some of the evidence? So around the world, all these countries are having Ayurveda, and they actually call and say, can you talk about the evidence of Ayurveda so that we can change the policies in our country and show that Ayurveda really works? So why have we not heard about Ayurveda if it's so effective? I think all of you know about Macaulay, and if you don't, you should read about it, that Ayurveda was basically banned, and a lot of things around Ayurveda were vilified. There was a man named Henry Wellcome, and he came to India and to places like Mysore, Benares, and places that had long legacies. And he basically offered them money with a gun to their heads and said, give us your granthas, give us your original copies. And they have a huge collection in Britain that some of us are very politely trying to, in addition to the Kohinoor diamond, trying to take back some of the wisdom, original copies of the Shusham Samhita, which are supposedly lost, but we know that they are there in Britain. And some of the texts that we are missing. So I'm working with manuscriptologists. One guy who's from Mysore, some of you may know him, Dr. Pannaga. So during COVID, you guys were all stuck. So he just did a course in manuscriptology. So I'm working with him to get entry into those European collections of the knowledge of the granthas. Another book that's very good is called The War on Bugs, and it tells about how allopathic medicine actually got its base and how tricky the base is. And it's not really based on real science, it's based on a lot of politics and a lot of profit. So let's get into some of the evidence. So I have 10 pieces here, and I'm going to stop at exactly on time. I think I started... Well, that clock is not working. I'm going to stop at 12:30, right? Yeah. So if you get through all 10, it's good. Otherwise, you can get the slides and read them. First one. This was in 2019 in a journal called Radiologic Medicine, and they found. Okay, so back up. Remember they used to say that it's stupid for Indians to put oil in their hair, and they would make fun. How many of you have had people make fun that you got oil in your hair? No one? No. So in many parts of modern Western like traditions like in Delhi and Kolkata, they think that putting oil in your hair means that you are like not advanced. And so they said, how can it be that it has medicinal effect? Why are you putting oil in your hair? We've been putting oil in our hair since we were born, basically. So we thought that was weird. But when I was in America for school, I was bullied. People would hit me and punch me because I was having oil in my hair. So I told my mom, stop putting oil in my hair because I'm going to get beaten to death. So it was always there that you can't put oil in your hair, there's no medicine. Okay, so back to 2019, there's a study that shows that there are actually veins that connect the venous system of the scalp, which is thought to be different from the blood supply inside the brain. And they found that there are little capillaries that actually collect and connect them. And that actually, when you put oil in your head, it can make its way. So they took some radiologic compound that can see on scans. They put it on the head. First they did a scan to make sure the inside of the head had no radioactivity. Then they put it on top of the head, and then they watched it, and over days it made its way into the inner parts of the brain, into the cerebrospinal fluid. And they did not expect that. So they said, so there are things that can make its way from your scalp and your hair into your cerebrospinal fluid, which is affecting your whole nervous system. So maybe that's one way where we can use hair oil to affect our depression and many of our psychiatric and neurologic diseases. So I've always kept this, since it came out, I've kept this evidence because people now cannot make fun of hair oil as one of the ways. Now, what are the ways that Ayurveda uses it medicinally? You've obviously heard of Shirotara, Shirobasti, right? What else? Right? All of the applications on the head of oil. Even during a good Abhyanga, when they will do a hair oil and they'll do the very good scalp massage. Look at the oil that they're using and what's in it. And a lot of times they'll have Brahmi, Shankapushpi, maybe Jatamamsi. So this is some evidence that you can use. Let's go to the next one. So there was a new, and I always tell this in a story way, so if there are any allopathic doctors, please understand I'm being only respectfully disrespectful because I do understand that allopathic medicine doesn't have the tools to teach anything more. And I feel very privileged that I got the best of allopathy, but that I have the jewel of Ayurvedic knowledge, and that my gurus have given me that right to learn it. So we have this new organ that was discovered suddenly. Oh, there's a new organ in one of the best journals of the world called Scientific Reports. And they come out and they say, we found this new organ called the interstitium. So before that, people say, why do you do Abhyanga? You really think that if you can put medicinal oil on the skin, it's going to go into the body? You people are so primitive. So this is stuff I've been hearing for years. You are so primitive. You don't understand science. There's no way that what you put on the skin goes inside. So I would say, have you ever heard of transdermal patches? And the application of pain medicines like fentanyl, digitalis, or nitroglycerin, actually nitroglycerin, or oral contraceptives. There's so many things that we can get into the body through transdermal. Why are you saying that it's not possible? No, the carriers have to be special. So they said, and besides, you're not going to get much carriage. If you take oil, which you know is absorbed through the skin, we eat through our skin, right? We absorb. They were saying there's no place for it to go. Then they discovered this organ between the skin and the fascia and the muscle tissues. They were always taking cadavers, and what do? They put in formaldehyde so everything collapses, right? So what did they see? Nothing. But in the live human being, which is what Ayurveda works with, right? We're not giving Shirotara and Abhyanga to cadavers. So we are seeing that there's a space between the skin, the subdermis, the dermis, and then there's a highway of actual space where not space, but I mean, there's Akash everywhere, but there is a traveling a channel, and so that is how the oil gets around the body. And this is a very, very plausible way to understand how Abhyanga works. So they're saying we propose a revision of the anatomical concepts of the submucosa, dermis, fascia, and vascular adventi. So what it's saying is that actually now we understand that Ayurveda has a reason why we do therapies on the skin, whether it's late buzz or it's the skin snehana vedana. Okay, here's another one. The third one is about the immune system. So we're just discovering, in modern medicine, the immune system since when? Since HIV. The human immunodeficiency whole complex of diseases was actually what brought modern medicine to start understanding the immune system. But in Ayurveda, we've known about Ojas for a really long time. So I think I took out the slide that gives more about Ojas, but you guys all know what Ojas is. So there's a study now that talks about the regulation of cell functions, and that you can actually change tumor cells. These are all the cancer complexes. You can change tumor cells. This is in Cancer Letters from 2018. And it says that, you can actually change the immune system through Ayurvedic augmentation of Ojas Vardhana. So how is it that cancer is called incurable and Ayurvedic doctors that actually treat cancers and get great outcomes are told that they can't say that because the Magical Remedies Act says that you can't say it. When I know hundreds of Ayurvedic doctors that are helping work through the body and improve with some of the plants and formulations, bhasmas and various treatments, including panchakarmas. It's changing the mRNA and it's changing the dynamic regulators of immune function and actually helping the body to regrow its own immune system. The latest immunotherapies are this novel way of getting the body's own immune system to start targeting the cancer cells. That's their mechanism. But Ayurveda has been doing that for a really long time. So for some of you who don't understand cancer and molecular biology, and you're really interested, you can read about it, and the path is really clear. What Ayurveda is doing is actually augmenting what modern medicine is just discovering about molecular biology and DNA, what's called the epigenetic changes or epigenome. Try again. Okay. I think I'm, yeah, okay. So the next section is one of my favorite topics. So I started in 2007 an institute, and I had to name it something, and my sister said, don't have it be about anything that the government can take problems in America. Call it something like Life Medical Association. She said, Americans know better do the acharya and do the first part as like a lifestyle. So call it dinacharya. So I've had the Dinacharya Institute since 2007, and we teach classes there, and they are, we have actually Vaidyas that come to these classes because they say that the way that we teach is so clear and so much better than what they learn in the schools. So I'm very proud of Dinacharya. But then I realized I better learn about Dinacharya. So better and better. So I've spent since 2007 learning everything that I can about Dinacharya. And finding out that there were only one or two books that were good. And the Swasthavatta books from CIM at that time were, like there was one chapter on Dinacharya, and then there was Ritacharya, and then it was, maybe Dinacharya and Ritacharya were together, and that was it. So, and then there was one book called Ayurveda Health Codes, but there were really good books. So that I think is the best place to begin. And when I went to India, I was spending a lot of time in the mountains with and the forests with actual gurus, and they were saying, if you want to cure anything, focus on Dinacharya. I'd say, no, give me a formulation, give me the name of a medicine. They say, do the Dinacharya, and that is the best medicine. And so I don't know if I'll have much time left, but I'm going to go into some Dinacharya, and then after that I have some food slides. So let's see what we can do. These are all some of the things that you can do. You guys all know this by heart. There are now studies, like this study on photobiomodulation, which shows that if you can use the power of the sun, you can actually regulate your Dinacharya. So my story continues that I studied and then I wrote a book called Everyday Ayurveda. Some of you might know it. But it takes a person who is not an Ayurvedic doctor into understanding Ayurveda through the process of dinacharya. So as this book came out, many people started writing to me, and one of the shocks that I got, remember I'm a modern doctor, so I have that like stupid side of me. Sorry, but I found people writing to me and saying, my thyroid problems were so severe, doctor said I would be taking thyroxine for life. I read your book and I started following this biomodulation of the sun. So I started going to bed earlier, stopped turning on the lights. These bright lights are very bad for you at night. And I found that my thyroid problem went away. And it wasn't just one letter. I've gotten hundreds of letters from people saying I cured my thyroid problem by simply following the cycles of the sun and the moon, and by making sure I don't get bright light in my eyes at night, which helps me sleep more. And you all might know that 2.5 hours or so after dusk, the melatonin starts secreting. But if you put on bright lights or are watching your phone or your computer, that mechanism will not get turned on. And so your thyroid, which is the master hormone, if you believe in thyroid in modern medicine, it will get disoriented. And so photobiomodulation is something very interesting to read about because it is one of the underlying scientific keys of our dinacharya. Sorry, what's happening? Okay, so when I do cases, I always ask about Am and Agni. I ask about their balance of exercise, nutrition, body type, and all this. But I then go into all of these parts and I check to see wherever they are not doing their dinacharya. So there's a word here that you should learn called Zeitgeber. It's a German word and is a rhythmically natural phenomenon, or sometimes not natural, which is helping you regulate your body's circadian rhythm, your daily rhythm. So these are things like the light in the morning, getting up at the rising sun. Remember, Brahme Muhurta Uttishtet. What does it mean? It doesn't mean drag, exactly. It doesn't mean drag yourself out of bed. It means get up and go to the rising sun on the eastern horizon and be happy and show your front of your body. It's not just your eyes, it's the cells in your skin here that will take in the sunlight. And it's not, okay, there's no sun today if it's cloudy, but still it will take in that sun and it will regulate your body. All of these shlokas have such deep tantra yukti within them that you should learn all of the actual processes and try to incorporate it into your own lives. And I'm telling you, if you do it in your 20s, you will not get old in your 30s and 40s. You will not get hypertension. You will not get the problems that many people get. They say, I'm so healthy. Why did I get sick? I personally got sick because I was in the hospital, didn't get to see the rising sun, and I started gaining weight, and I couldn't understand why. And at that time, I never knew Ayurveda. But these principles are there. Clock Genes were awarded a Nobel Prize in 2017, these three guys, and they had discovered the molecular mechanisms behind the circadian rhythm and found that this is not just in the brain and the pineal gland, it's throughout the body. There's a coordination. So Ayurveda already knew that. They didn't know the words, but they knew it. These are all articles about the daily rhythms, different kinds of scientific references on this topic called chronobiology. Chrono means time, biology, and the molecular clocks that are throughout the body, and not just the brain, that keep the tissues in line and in intercoordination with each other. And there's so much evidence for this. There is actually a chronobiology, if you go into PubMed online, there are now 10,000 articles. And there's a book by an Indian guy named Panda, Sachin Panda, called The Circadian Clock. And he talks about how the biological rhythms are so important for affecting our molecular DNA winding and unwinding of all the proteins that we create that give us the molecular basis of dinacharya. There's not just dinacharya, there's also ratricharya, moonlight. So people say, oh, why do these Indians, they follow tithi? Well, there's a reason for tithi, and there is a whole chronobiology by moonlight and behavioral effects of night light. If you get it once in a month, which we call Purnima and the Pratipada, that's fine. But if you have bright light at night, every night, it's not normal. You're supposed to have the Amavasya. You're supposed to have nights of very low light. And not only does it affect animals, we are also animals, because we're not plants, we're not fungi. So we also get affected by this. And I put the silver there because you all know that you should put things in silver in the moonlight, yeah? I love it because all of you are nodding. In America, if I do this, they'll say, silver? Why silver? Is it okay if I use tin? So I ask people, so I write these columns, you can find them online, about how to make it practical in your life, because my patients really benefit from this. This is an example of the clock. I actually downloaded this as a low resolution, so you can't read the thing in there. But these questions, these 6, are how I check with people about their daily rhythms. Appetite, bowel movements, you can see A, B, C, D, E, F. And when I ask this in English, I actually do it in India as well. It really tells me a lot about how they're following their dinacharya. It also affects your childhood if you have these habits. If you grew up in a place, in a family that was not so modern, but you did certain things, like you slept on the floor, you went to bed earlier at night, you didn't sleep alone. There's a role of having, intimacy with your, like I slept with my sisters every night until I was much older. Your DNA will have little codings, which are the epigenetic changes, and you'll find that twins that have the same exact genes that are grown up in 2 different ways, the ones that have better dinacharya have better programming in their epigenome for the rest of their life, for your whole adult life. So if you have that we call, what is that? We call it okasatmya, right? What you have from childhood, what you're used to, what you're able to withstand. You gain that real steadiness from that. Okay, so I think we're going to just run through Ahara, because I just have a few minutes left. The things where I want to make sure you understand is that there's a lot of myth about food. I think it's very funny that when we sat down, Madam and I have a bowl of candies there that are full of artificial, I don't even know what those candies are, and there's like some kind of drink there that is probably not even food. Learn what food is. Ahara is not just what you take in by mouth, it's everything you take in. But in terms of foods, learn what the foods are that are very dangerous. So I'm going to share a couple with you. These 7, go and learn exactly where your salt, your sugar, your flour, maida or atta, what do you use at home? Rice, do you use local rice or you use the fancy tilda basmati rice? Your parents are saying, my son, my daughter is now a medical student. We have to eat hi-fi. So they go and they buy Kohinoor rice in a brand that's polished and that comes from, some other water, some other air, not what you are eating and drinking. That rice is not good for you. And a lot of it's processed. Milk, I always make sure when I drink tea that it's not powdered milk or that cream milk now. So where does your milk come from? In Benares, I get it from the Goshala. But in America, that's not possible because they require it to be pasteurized. So what do you do for milk? Eggs, in America, the eggs are 6 months old when they get to the grocery. Can you imagine? It's such a great reason for becoming vegetarian. I'm Bengali, so I grew up with eggs, right? So, and then your oil, we have something called sada tel, which is this garbage canola oil where they take out everything. So we grew up with mustard oil, ghee, coconut oil in the summers only, and I think that was all. And now we have some olive oil because we're in America. The second thing to learn, you guys all know about these, you know that Anupana ghee has something you should know, short chain fatty acids. That's a science that's showing that it is the closest to humans' cell membranes, and that is why ghee not only is good for you, but if you want to repair the gut, someone has any kind of gut disease, the one and only substance that we have found that absolutely can cure colitis, gut cancers, name the celiac disease, irritable bowel syndrome, acid reflux, esophagitis, I'm going from down to up, is ghee. And so learning how to give ghee, not only as snehapana, but as a small amount every day is important. So don't go buying that Amul Desi ghee. Buy the actual ghee that's made in the right way. What does that mean? From milk to yogurt, from yogurt to Navanita, from Navanita to ghee. Right? Make it the right way, store it in glass or in a right pitcher, and keep it the right way, and you'll see that ghee will heal you. The studies are so plentiful on ghee. I actually am missing a slide, but I wanted to also tell you that milk is one of the things that is most misunderstood in India. It's really important as an Ayurvedic doctor that you learn the evidence that milk today is not the milk that's written in the Shastras. So don't recommend milk to people blindly unless you give them an actual education of the source of where to find it, where your patient is from. So I don't think modern medicine can say much anything about actual ahara because they don't understand the samskara process, and they only know ingredients, and they put a lot of garbage ingredients in there. So I teach this to Westerners, and this slide I've used a lot, and people say, I never knew that Ayurveda knows so much about food. Yeah, because you don't understand Sanskrit and you've never read Ashtanga Hridayam, Sutrasthana 5 and 6 and learned about Drava Dravya and Annaswarupa. But you guys should all read this and read the commentaries because you'll learn so much. So I've gone through the commentaries and there's so much wisdom that will prove to you that the way that you are eating today, the samskaras of like frozen foods, jarred foods, canned foods is really bad for you. Really, really, really bad for you. First you have to do it and then you have to teach your patients. This probably will be my last slide in detail. This is the evidence. It's really important. You can find it online. It's from the National Nutrition Conference for Defense in 1941, where they found that maida, where you take the germ away from that part that you consider fluffy, right, the rest of the wheat, the godhuma, when you take away the germ and you make white flour, which is very soft, what we get in the stores as maida, you actually deprive the B vitamins and it will cause problems to the heart. And so there was an epidemic of heart problems in the 1930s, and they realized that it's a depletion of the B vitamins. And so they said, then we have to outlaw flour. They said, no, 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 we love our flour and our cakes and the things we make. So what do? So they put the B vitamins back in. You can't take something out. I can't take the hemoglobin out of your body and take the iron out and then just put the hemoglobin back in and then just throw the iron back in as a supplement. It will not go back into the hemoglobin, right? You guys understand that. That's part of the way nature creates things. It's the dhatu poshaka. So here what they do is they fortify with B vitamins. And this is why maida is so dangerous and it's creating so many allergies. Even in Bangalore and these modern cities, Delhi, Bombay, people are getting gluten intolerance. And that is not because of the flour as it was grown, it's because of the samskara, how it was processed. Okay, there's a lot to say about water. Do not drink bottled water, sorry to say that, because bottled water, check a pH. You guys get into laboratory and get a pH meter. What's the pH of bottled water? RO water is pH 5. Okay, so someone knows this. Thank you, ma'am, for nodding. If you don't know that 5 is acidic, the pH of water should be 7. If it's 5, it's going to make you more thirsty. It's going to create problems for you to have more bacteria, more weight gain, and also much more problem with all of the diseases, the nidana of the diseases. This is one of the hetus. And we don't think about it. We all think we're going to be fancy and we're going to, instead of getting those gravity filters, we get those RO filters, right? Because some Bollywood star is saying drink RO water. Don't drink RO water. Take the water from a bore well, boil it, put it in a copper vessel the way that the ancient, the palaces, they had copper cisterns. Use the ancient techniques of water. Do not go for RO because that pH of 5 is slowly destroying you. And if you have any relatives that are older, like in their 60s and 70s, and they're drinking RO water now, which wasn't available more than 20 years ago, they are getting sicker and sicker. So I think I'm going to just run through the rest of this. You guys know samskaras. You know kala bhojanam. There's some evidence that the who, what, when, where of how to eat and not just the food is very important. Teach people vivecheti muncheti. This is not available in the evidence base of modern medicine, and it is a key, right? So try to understand the scientific underpinnings. If any of you are doing MDs or PhDs in Ayurveda, in Swastavritta, or in Kaya Chikitsa, try to explain what Vivecheti Muncheti is in scientific language, because Ayurveda gets it. It's about the fire in the belly. It's not about the calories and the microbiome and all that stuff. I can't get into all these, but I'm just going to go through them one by one, and if you're interested in any particular topic, you can find me. I'll be here for the next 2 days. There's evidence about rasa and the taste, the 6 tastes. there's a lot of different metals in the body, and the perception of taste is based on a whole bunch of minerals that are in the foods, and we actually have taste buds, not just on our tongue, but throughout the body. We have mineral, you know, I'm a Rasa Shastra girl, so how many Rasa Shastra people? None. Oh, one. Okay. So I have to talk about minerals. So here is the proof that we have a lot of minerals. It's called the metallome of our body, and the way that we take in our foods actually depends on how the minerals are there, because the body detects them. Fasting is very important. Sir before me spoke about this. Caloric restriction is very good for improving memory. What do we have in Ayurveda that's already proven this 1,000 times? Upavasa, right? So now there's actual evidence that shows, I just put in 3 or 4 papers, but there's a lot of neuroprotection when you do regular upavasa, regular langhana. This is about medicinal smoke. Do you guys in the morning do dhupam? Like actual dhupam, not those agarbattis. Agarbattis are actually poisonous. You all know that, right? It's very bad. The people that work in the agarbatti factories have the highest rates of dermatitis, among the highest in India, because there's so many chemicals in there. And I can talk to you all about why that is, because I, looked into it. The best is to use the natural way of doing dhupana, which we all learned again during COVID times, but it's a very, very important thing for you to do in your clinics once you start your own clinics and in your hospitals, but also to learn in your own space, in your dormitory, because you guys are all going to see patients and come home. You should have your space be clean. And then I was going to talk about foods. There's minerals in the brassica vegetables, so this is very good to recommend to people. This is about yoga. Do you see the dogs, if you have pets? Okay, dogs doing yoga. And this is about your land and being in nature every day. And then the last thing I want to say is, or 2 last things. One is, when you're giving Aushadhi, try to see what those medicines are. If you have a good pharmacy, make sure they're not using extracts and all these kind of Americanized formulations. So I work very hard to make sure that I see the pharmacy and I take medicines only from companies that are actual Ayurvedic Aushadham, not these extracts and Ayurveda inspired and export quality. Export quality in Ayurveda does not mean good. Okay, so the evidence is really coming together. They're putting all kinds of stuff like polysorbate 60 and magnesium stearate and chemicals that, if you have very good Agni, it probably won't be so bad for you. But if you have really good Agni, you're probably not coming to see an Ayurvedic doctor for Aushadha, right? So the people with compromised Agni shouldn't be getting a lot of preservatives because they're non-foods, and they're going to create ama because they can't be digested because they're not food. And the last thing I wanted to say, even though I'm over time, this is so important for Gen Z. How many of you are Gen Z? Raise your hands, admit it. Okay, how many of you guys, keep your hands up if you use your phone for more than an hour a day? Of course you do, come on. Okay, so there's a lot of evidence in Ayurveda that says that you have to be careful of the non-ionizing radiation that you take in. Ionizing radiation is being out in the sun, and you learn about sunscreen and being in the sun too much and wearing those gloves and those coverings on your face. But what about the non-ionizing radiation? There's so much evidence that it's very bad for you. So don't sleep with the phone under your pillow or within like an arm's, your length of your body, the width of your body and your arms. Put your phones far away. They are bad for you, and they're putting non-ionizing radiation in your body. There's a lot of evidence. I don't think I put her name, but there's a woman named Magda, and she is in Canada, and she's put together all the evidence that shows this. Ayurveda already knew about this. We have it in our mythology that it's there. And there was a man who's a descendant of Bhava Mishra, named Ramakant Mishra, who wrote about the importance of these cell phones and Bluetooth, and all of you guys walking around with your earphones thinking you're so cool. You're basically, radiating your brain. So if you're going to spend all this energy to get this education and become vessels for Vidya so that you can deserve to call yourself Vaidya, why are you poisoning that by putting all of this Bluetooth energy into your brain? We don't know what's going to happen to you when you're now 20 to 30 years old, but 40 years from now, when you're the age that your sirs are, they're not going to suffer because they didn't have cell phones when they were 20. But we don't know what's going to happen to you. And I'll just tell you, Ayurveda does not tell you that you should be putting non-ionizing radiation in your body. it does say that when there's thunder outside, that you should go and take in those ions that are in the atmosphere when the thunder is there and the lightning is there. You've read about that. That will neutralize some of these ions that you're getting from your cell phones. But I'm way over time. I'm going to stop. I love this topic, so I could talk for hours about it. So I thank you for listening. My last thing is learn Sanskrit. Do not take any excuses that I'll just read a translation. Those translations are mistranslations. I learned so many things wrong because in America I was learning Vata's ear, Pitta's fire, and Kapha is water. Right, it's not, okay? Vata is Vata, Pitta is Pitta. You have to learn the terminology. And I say pranams to my gurus for really telling me I should go back and learn Sanskrit actually. It's not a hard language to learn. If you can learn modern medical terminology, you can learn Sanskrit. And I hope that from an American-based person who comes back to India, because this is the land of truth and of Vidya, I hope that you will take anything that I said today and use it and help change your life, and thus the life of tens of thousands of patients that you're going to affect in the next 10 to 50 years. And I pray for your well-being. I hope that you have learned something about lifestyle medicine and evidence, and I'll be around for the next few days. Thank you for listening to me. Namaste. There's my email. Do I stay here or go there? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam, for the insightful session. I now call upon Dr. Sajita K. Madam to sum up the session.
Good afternoon, respected Bhaswati Madam and invitees, faculty members and organizers of this program. First of all, let me congratulate the organizers for selecting such a wonderful topic which really requires the attraction and present era. The science which starts with the concept of the Prakriti. Let us go back to Ashtanga Hridaya Sutra Snana. Shuklartavastair janmadau visheneva vishakrime taisaha tisra prakriteyo hina madhya uttamaha pratak. We know that the Prakriti is not something which we can decide or our parents can decide. It is going to happen at the time of fertilization itself. Okay, fine. Then the contributory factors like mrudyatra madrijam, the soft part mainly, something like your intelligence. Nowadays modern medical science is highlighting it in a very big way that the intelligence of the baby is closely related to the mother. Definitely it is defined by our science centuries before, mrudyatra madrijam. Then vaitrigam tu stiram astikesha kajadigam atmajam tittamakshani nana yonisha janmaja whereas sadnyam prakriti ruchyade. I mean, the sadhya of a North Indian will not be the sadhya of the South Indian. Why? Because dushyam desham balam kalam analam prakratim vayaha sattvam sadhyam tadaharam avastasya pradak pradak. If you are doing the analysis for the preparation of the Ahara, for the preparation of the Vihara, for the preparation of the Aushada, no chance, nachas kaladi jadujit. You will never get a chance to slip out of the track. Okay? Keep it in your mind that this is the high time for us to come back to our sign. The patya of an individual is to be going to decide at the time of its birth itself or at the time of fertilization itself, and the fact of Ahara is going to stick on the place where the birth is taken. Right? And I congratulate Bhaswati Madam to come up with such a wonderful presentation. And yes, to conclude, let me say or take the reference from the Katha Upanishad, Uttishtada, Jagrada, Prapyavaranni Bodhada. Get up, then be alert. Then let me modify the last statement. It is the high time for us to act on, to bring back the real essence of our science. All the very best.
Thank you, Madam. May I now request Dr. Sajita Madam to kindly felicitate Dr. Bhaswati Madam. I would like to call upon Dr. N.V. Krishnamurthy sir to join. Thank you, madam. I now request Dr. Jamna Prakash madam to felicitate Dr. Sajita madam. I would like to call upon Dr. Jairaj sir to join the dignitaries.
Moving on to the next session. This session will be chaired by Dr. Veena G. Rao ma'am, Professor, Department of PG Studies in Panchakarma, JSS Ayurveda Medical College and Hospital, Mysore. And it is our privilege to have with us our distinguished speaker, Dr. Mukesh B. Chavda sir, Senior Manager, Medical Services, Solomix Herbaceuticals Limited, Shri Dud Tapeshwar Limited Enterprises.
Group of institutions, CCARD and Maharaja Institute of Ayurveda welcomes Dr. Mukesh Chavda. As Senior Manager at Shri Dutapapeshwar Limited, Dr. Chavda leads the development of advanced Ayurvedic formulations and herbo-mineral research. He is a prolific scholar. He has published extensive research on the cardioprotective and neuroprotective properties of traditional medicines. Dr. Chavda specializes in bridging ancient wisdom with modern science through rigorous clinical trials for metabolic and degenerative disorders, and his work continues to elevate traditional medicine by establishing high standards for clinical validation and global therapeutic innovation. We look forward and hear him talk on revalidating the role of Vasant Kusumakar Rasa in T2DM complications.
May I now request Dr. Mukesh sir to take over this session.
Is it audible? Pranam to all my seniors and namaste, and especially we are very happy to see all the students, because now they have to take Ayurveda forward, because whatever research everywhere it's going on, we should be aware of all this research. So the topic which was selected was revalidation of Vasant Kusmakar Ras. See, this is not a proprietary formulation, it is an classical formulation, and we said that okay, we will do some unique research with respect to understanding the role of Vasant Kusmakar Ras in diabetes and associated complications. Now, when we talk of revalidation, why revalidation is required? Because if you look at this, see, ultimately we have to change the notion, because what is considered that Ayurveda is a belief system. No, it is a relief system provided we prove it, and to prove it we need research. We need to work on the path of reverse pharmacology, because if we document, if we validate our claims or whatever our acharyas have described in Ayurveda text, then only we can build in confidence. So now we have coined a word for this activity as Shuddham Sunishchitam. We talk of purity and charity. Now when we talk of purity and charity at our company level, we work into characterization. Ultimately, when our Vaidyas, they prescribe medicines, they should know what they are prescribing. Secondly, we should know the clinical and experimental efficacy. Efficacy is very important, safety is very important. So whatever models are available, first of all, we should prove that they are safe, they are effective. And now the time has come where we need to understand the mode of actions of our studies. How do medicines work? So this is a small attempt, and some of our published work, we have compiled it in the form of an abstract, and that can be downloaded by scanning this QR code. And for this documentation, or for this effort of documenting purity and charity, we have worked with several organizations. To name a few, IIT Mumbai, where we have done our characterization of Suvarna Bhasma. We have worked with ICMR institutes like NIRRCH, and we have proven that Suvarna Bhasma is non-toxic, non-neurotoxic, non-mutagenic, non-genotoxic. We have worked with KM Hospital Mumbai, where we have understood mode of actions of few of our medicines. So collaboration is very important. Last year, we have started collaborating with Kelaniya University in Sri Lanka, where we have done characterization of Rajat Bhasma, and also we have tried to understood the neuroprotective effect of Rajat Bhasma. Now, why Vasant Kusmakar Ras? When we talk of theory to practice, Vasant Kusmakar, if we look at the Ayurveda text, there are several indications mentioned. It is Prameha, it is Vrushya, even it is used in Shvaskas, it is used in Amla Pitta, it is used in Unmad. But when we look practically, in today's era, our Vaidyas are primarily or widely using it in the management of diabetes and its complications. Now, why diabetes is very important? If we look at our national data, I think our first speaker, sir, had also mentioned that Indians are dying because of non-communicable diseases. 63% of deaths in India are attributed to non-communicable disease. Of these deaths, 3% of the deaths are attributed to diabetes. If we are talking of, it's not just 3% of deaths. There is an epidemic of diabetes. We may not be the world capital, but if we look at the ICMR in their 17 study data, they had studied almost 1 lakh individuals from a period of 2008 to 2020. And what they found out, that of the population studied, 11.4% of population was suffering from diabetes, 15.3% population was suffering from pre-diabetes. And they had estimated that in 2020, in 2021, 101 million people suffering from diabetes, 13.6 million people suffering from pre-diabetes. Now this almost in total comes to 16% of Indian population. Because in 2021, our population was 141 crores. Today, we are 146 crores. So nothing has changed. It is increasing. It is increasing. And just don't look at that 3% share. Diabetes is now considered a cardiometabolic disorder. Because if you look at the Indian data, as compared to non-diabetic individuals, our diabetic adults are 2 to 4 times at a higher risk of developing a cardiovascular disease. To support this, each 1% reduction in glycosylated hemoglobin, there is a reduction in the risk of myocardial infarction by 14%. If number one killer is cardiovascular disease, ischemic heart disease and stroke, so it is what we can say joint epidemic. So diabetes is strongly related to cardiovascular disease. Now when we come to the complications, now majority of this is Indian data, except the burden of diabetic cardiomyopathy. When we talk of Indian adult diabetic population, 16.9% of this population, they suffer from diabetic retinopathy, which is a major cause of acquired blindness in India. When we talk of diabetic cardiomyopathy, I could not get Indian data, but this is global data. 17% of diabetics, they are prone to diabetic cardiomyopathy. Now see, there is a difference, all of us know, between CVD and diabetic cardiomyopathy. See, CVD is a blood vessel disease, whereas diabetic cardiomyopathy is a heart wall disease. And one Framingham study has quoted that as compared to non-diabetics, diabetic males are 2 times more prone and diabetic females are 5 times more prone to develop heart failure, because ultimately diabetic cardiomyopathy leads to diastolic dysfunction first, which is the major reason of heart muscle stiffness and heart failure. When we talk of diabetic nephropathy, some recent data, they say that Indian diabetics, 44% of Indian diabetics, the prevalence rate of diabetic nephropathy. When we talk of neuropathy, it's not easy to treat. Almost 19 to 62% of Indian diabetics, the prevalence rate for diabetic neuropathy. Now, keeping this in mind, exactly what happens here? What is that major pathophysiology, or we can call modern samprapti? What is it? It starts with endothelial dysfunction. It starts with endothelial dysfunction. In simple words, what is endothelial dysfunction? Damage to the innermost layer of the blood vessel, leading to narrowing of the blood vessel plus reduction in flexibility or contractility of the blood vessel. Now, how does it happen? In simple terms, the major cause is insulin resistance. Now, unaddressed insulin resistance, it leads to hyperglycemia, obesity. Obesity can lead to insulin resistance. Insulin resistance can also lead to obesity, hypertension, and dyslipidemia. Now, when we come at diabetes and obesity, again India is facing a huge epidemic. Combined, it is called as diabesity. It is called as diabesity. Epidemic of diabetes plus epidemic of obesity. When we merge all this, hyperglycemia or diabetes, obesity, hypertension and dyslipidemia, collectively it is called as metabolic syndrome. Now, what happens exactly in this? In this process, AGs are generated or AGs are produced. What are AGs? Advanced glycation end products. Now, these advanced glycation end products are produced because the glucose in the blood, it reacts non-enzymatically with lipids and proteins. And these AGs are responsible for tissue inflammation, affected tissue inflammation, oxidative stress in the tissue, and reduction in nitric oxide production. Now, this nitric oxide is responsible for maintaining the flexibility of the blood vessel. This leads to endothelial dysfunction, which causes micro and macrovascular complications. Now, in terms of macrovascular complications, we already know cardiovascular diseases or cerebrovascular diseases or peripheral vascular diseases. In terms of microvascular retinopathy, uropathy, nephropathy, cardiomyopathy, there is one more complication. Probably it is not studied much. It is brain insulin resistance. It is diabetic encephalopathy. It ages the brain very faster. So here our Ayurvedic medicines can definitely work, provided we do proper documentation. Now, in this process of endothelial dysfunction, exactly at the molecular level what happens? At molecular levels, there is alteration in some protein expressions. In brief, I will try and explain. There is alteration in the protein expression. Well, ultimately tissue is affected. At molecular level, there is alteration in protein expression. For example, in diabetic retinopathy, there is activation of VEGF, MMP2 and MMP9 pathway. When we talk of diabetic cardiomyopathy, there is down-regulation of PI3K, AKT and GLUT4 translocation. I will give an example. In diabetic nephropathy, there is activation of TGF-beta1 SMAD2/3 signaling pathway. And in diabetic neuropathy, there is activation of WNT3A beta-catenin pathway. Ultimately, these pathways are affected, which leads to endothelial dysfunction, generation of ages, and ultimately leading to macro and microvascular complications of diabetes. I will give an example. See, this image is an example. Imagine, this is an cardiomyocyte. It is an cardiomyocyte cell which makes up the heart tissue. What happens in normal state? Heart requires continuous supply of energy in the form of glucose. So whenever we eat food, glucose is produced. Now this glucose has to enter the heart cell. How it enters? First of all, to facilitate glucose entry into the cardiomyocyte or heart cell, we require insulin, because insulin is the facilitator. Now insulin binds to insulin receptor on the cell surface. It sends the message to IRS, insulin receptor substrate. Again, it is a protein. Now this insulin receptor substrate activates PI3K, phosphatidylinositol 3 kinase. It is a protein. Now this PI3K further activates AKT, is protein kinase C. Ultimately, the message goes to GLUTs. When we talk of heart, what are GLUTs? Basically, glucose transporters. Now, 70% of heart muscles, they contain GLUT4s. They come to the surface of the tissue of the heart and they facilitate glucose entry. Now, this is normal physiology. In diabetic cardiomyopathy, what happens? Because of insulin resistance, these GLUTs are not translocated at the surface of the heart tissue. So heart doesn't get that supply of energy. When heart doesn't get the supply of energy, it will use the second method. Our body oxidizes, there is fatty acid oxidation to generate energy. Now in this process, there is calcium influx in the heart muscle, which causes diabetic cardiomyopathy. So we have to study this way. This is the samprapti. We have to prove, we have to document that our products, they break this samprapti. So this is a protein expression pathway. So this is what is to be studied, and we have studied it for diabetic complications. And how did we study it? So whatever is very good or path-breaking in what we can say modern science, we should accept it. Now this is done through Western blot analysis. Now this is the Western blot instrument. We process the tissue and we separate the protein. Once the tissue is separated on the other instrument, Chemidog, XRS or an equivalent instrument, it studies the protein expression. It also quantifies the protein expression. So this methodology, we had used it. First of all, before going to the complications, how did we decide to proceed with this project? Our preliminary work was the pancreatoprotective effect of Vasant Kusumakaras. We started it 3 years ago. Because several Vaidyas, we are using Vasant Kusumakaras, and they say that they are getting results, but there is no clinical documentation. So we said, okay, we will start with preclinical work. So it was induction of type 2 diabetes through high-fat diet along with a single dose administration of streptozotocin. Why streptozotocin? Streptozotocin is responsible for damage to the pancreatic beta cells. So this was our preliminary study. Group was normal control, disease control, means diabetic. Third is yellow, is diabetic treated with modern medicine glipizide, and last two groups were diabetic treated with Vasant Kusumakaras. So in terms of biochemistry, what were our findings? That reduction in HbA1c levels, reduction in plasma insulin levels. If you look at this graph also, see, glipizide was still better. Glipizide, now we may not be able to compete with modern medicines in terms of reduction in blood glucose levels. We never know. This was a small study, 8-week studies. This was a 4-week study. We never know. So we have to use it for longer. What was important is, if we see this image, this is an immunohistochemistry slide of pancreas. I will just zoom this slide. See this. This typical pancreatic tissue. In the center, if we see, it is islet. It is islet of Langerhans. We can see brown spots. Now, in this immunohistochemistry slide, these brown spots are sirtuins, silent information regulators. Now, madam, in one of her slides, she had mentioned aging. Now, these sirtuins, as we age, this sirtuin expression, it is a protein. It goes down in our body. So it is, and gene or protein for aging also. Here, it is master energy regulator. These certain proteins, they control our metabolic process. And in cases of insulin resistance, that expression goes down, which leads to fibrosis in the affected tissue. Now here what we have seen, that in that diabetic control group, that islet had shrunk, and the expression of SIRT1 in terms of the brown particles was reduced. If you look at the Vasant Kusumakaras treated group, the SIRT1 expression was better. It was even better than glipizide. It indicated that Ayurvedic medicines, they have this pancreatoprotective effect. If we are talking of SIRT1, SIRT1 is also oxidative stress, inflammation, if it reduces. Now this same pathophysiology applies to complications of diabetes. Then we decided to study this formulation in depth in complications of diabetes. So this were 4 separate studies. It was, we had planned this study in type 2 diabetes, where treatment was given for 16 weeks. For 16 weeks. All these complications were studied separately. We had not just studied biochemical parameters. Biochemical parameters included HbA1c, renal function test, lipid profile, all the tests were done. Secondly, inflammatory marker, because tissue inflammation is very important in complications of diabetes. We have studied TNF-alpha, interleukin-6, interleukin-1 beta. For oxidative stress parameters, we have studied MDA, GSH, superoxide dismutase and catalase. Special parameters, for example, in retinopathy, we had done fundoscopy of the animals. We had done electroretinogram also. In cardiomyopathy, hemodynamic parameters, nerve conduction velocity in nephropathy, in neuropathy, then protein expression study was the crux along with the histopathology. Now, when we did this study for diabetic retinopathy, the positive control which we had taken was calcium dobosilate, which has a vasoprotective effect. In cardiomyopathy, since it is an unmet medical need, no medicines are available except sugar control, so there we had taken glipizide. For diabetic nephropathy, the gold standard is ACE inhibitor, enalapril was used. because it has that renoprotective effect. And in case of diabetic neuropathy, we have used pregabalin, which is widely used in the management of neuropathic pain. Now, some general finding. Across all the models, what we saw, there was reduction in insulin resistance. Now, to check for insulin resistance, we use the formula HOMA-IR. It's simple. Sugar, blood glucose multiplied by insulin divided by 22.5. So, across all the models, we saw that Vasant Kusumakar reduces insulin resistance. Again, glipizide was better. When we talk of diabetic cardiomyopathy, glipizide was better. Secondly, when we look at HbA1c level, improvement in long-term glucose homeostasis. Again, Vasant Kusumakar across all the models, okay, it had that glucose homeostasis improving effect. When we talk of inflammatory markers, this was studied in the tissues. I have given an example of a repeated interleukin 6. There was reduction in the interleukin 6 levels also. If you look, it was better than calcium carboxylate also. It was better than glipizide. Okay, it was at par with lisinopril, an ACE inhibitor. And in terms of neuropathy also, they were all at par. So there was reduction in tissue inflammation. When we talk of oxidative stress markers, I am highlighting GSH or reduced glutathione. In diabetic control group, we can see reduction in GSH levels. So with treatment with Vasant Kusumakar, there was restoration or non-reduction in the glutathione level. So again, we have studied SOD also, catalase also, and a marker of lipid peroxidation which is called MDA, melandialdehyde. So reduction in HbA1c or HOMA-IR or reduction in inflammatory marker and improvement in SOD levels or oxidative stress, what does it indicate? That it has the potential to reduce the formation of AGs, advanced glycation end products. It can definitely help and improve endothelial dysfunction. Some special parameters, we have seen aldol reductase activity. Now what is aldol reductase? Again, whenever there is elevated blood sugar levels, there is excess deposition of sorbitol on the nerves in the eye tissue, which can lead to eye damage. Now secondly, there is one more fact. Those who are diabetics, they are prone to develop cataract at an early stage. When we talk of Vasant Kusumakar, it not only helps in reducing or slowing down the progression of diabetic retinopathy, but it is also important in slowing down the progression of cataract. So this is what aldol reductase activity we see. Then we come to cardiomyopathy. We have done cardiac troponins. Now cardiac troponins everyone knows. It is a marker of myocardial ischemia. When we talk of myocardial ischemia, it helps in reducing the severity of myocardial ischemia. In terms of, or when we talk of diabetic nephropathy, we could see reduction in CCR or improvement in CCR, improvement in creatinine clearance. Improvement in creatinine clearance is calculated on the basis of urinary creatinine multiplied by urine volume divided by plasma creatinine. So reduction in urinary clearance means it has renoprotective effect. And lastly, in diabetic neuropathy, we also studied nerve conduction. There was improvement in motor nerve conduction velocity as well as sensory nerve conduction velocity. These are some of the instrumentations which we had used. Now, I will talk of diabetic retinopathy. This paper was presented last year at a conference in Washington DC, and it has been published in their journal. Abstract has been published. Now, what did we find out? That Vasant Kusumakar, an Ayurvedic herbomineral intervention, can slow down the progression of diabetic retinopathy by lowering or down-regulating the expression of VEGF, MMP2 and MMP9. But what is their significance? What happens in diabetic retinopathy? In diabetic retinopathy, there is angiogenesis. There is formation of new blood vessels. There is formation of new blood vessels which are prone to bleeding, and which is a cause of acquired blindness. Why this is very important? Because in today's era, we are talking of preventive Ayurveda also. When a patient comes to an ophthalmologist or an retina specialist, he is already late. He is already late, and they only have one treatment. They give intravitreal injection, which is ranibizumab or bevacizumab. That one injection is 17,000. One injection is 70,000. Okay, we are not competing with ranibizumab. It is anti-VEGF injection. It is anti-vascular endothelial growth factor. So, what is important? Our Vasan Kusmakar also has the same mode of action. It works in a similar way. Provided we started earlier, we are talking of not reversing the complication, we are talking of slowing down the complications of diabetes. So this is very important. Now this was supported by fundoscopy images. In animals also, we had done fundoscopy, we had an veterinary ophthalmologist. See, this is very interesting. This is normal, upper is right eye, left eye. See, these structures are blood vessels. In diabetic control group, you can see more number of blood vessels. This is angiogenesis. When treated with Vasan Kusmakar, there was reduction in angiogenesis. So this is very important finding. We have to document this. What is the next step? The next step is we have to study this. In humans, we have to do a clinical study where we have to involve an ophthalmologist also. When we talk of diabetic cardiomyopathy, Vasan Kusmakar stimulates or activates the PI3K, AKT, GLUT4 signaling pathway so that it improves myocardial contractility. So this again, this paper has been published in an impact factor 3.2. It is a peer-reviewed journal, so this has been published. So more such and such publications have to come. This is an example, very interesting, easy to understand. This is a special staining of the heart tissue. This is normal myocardium. Second is diabetic. We see that blue part. It is special staining which is called as Mason's trichrome staining. Now in this staining, this stain only stains the fibrous part or the dead tissue. So see the amount of fibrosis in diabetic control. Why it is fibrous? Because of calcium deposition. When we talk of modern medicine glyceride, there was reduction in that blue stained part. But when we look at Vasan Kusmakar, there was very minimal. We talk of rasayan action. When we talk of rasayan action, it works provided we use it in right dose, right duration, right anupan, because in the first session, sir, I told, we have 146 crore physiologists, no? So keeping that in mind, we have to treat our patients. One other can be common. Then comes diabetic nephropathy. It's very important. See, when we are talking of complications, it's not just death. We are talking of disease also, no? Disease adjusted life years. Number of healthy years lost because of this disease, because of the economic cost. That is very important. That is where we have to treat our patient. So, Vasan Kusmakar slows down the progression of diabetic nephropathy by down-regulating the expression of TGF-beta1 and SMAD signaling pathway. So this is very important. So it has that renoprotective effect. Again, Mason's trichrome staining. If you look at that blue part, severity of blue part and severity of blue part in Vasan Kusmakar, so it definitely has that tissue protective effect. Now, when we talk of diabetic neuropathy, this is again a widely seen indication. Usually GPs treat this. Vasan Kusmakar slows down the progression of diabetic neuropathy by down-regulating the WNT3A beta-catenin pathway. This is one of the reasons for chronic pain also. If you look at this, read this review. Usually, in the management of diabetic neuropathy associated pain, gabapentin or pregabalin is used. But recent review says that this gabapentin or pregabalin, when used for a longer duration of time, leads to deep vein thrombosis. It leads to heart attack. See, what is important is one medicine controlling blood glucose levels also, reducing endothelial dysfunction also, and the same medicine helps in slowing down the progression of disease. Here, this medicine, pregabalin or gabapentin, it does not have any effect on blood sugar, but it can aggravate or worsen the complications of diabetes. That is very important in terms of Ayurveda. Now, this is the summary. That how does Vasant Kusmakar, see, one candidate has the potential to slow down the progression of diabetic neuropathy, nephropathy, retinopathy, cardiomyopathy. So in Ayurvedic terms we call it a Prameya Rasayan. But in modern terms, what do we label it? It is a medicine which causes reduction in endothelial dysfunction. Now, again I come to that first slide. See, some things we did not decode. See, there are many indications. There are many indications like Kasishwas, Unmad. Now, these indications, if we minutely look into it, today's COPD, the causative factor is endothelial dysfunction. Today, in bronchial asthma, the causative factor is endothelial dysfunction. When we talk of erectile dysfunction, the causative factor is endothelial dysfunction. This is one of the reasons why Vasant Kusmakar Ras has many indications, probably, but pathology is same. Pathophysiology is endothelial dysfunction. It is used in Amlapitta also. Probably we do not know what is the mode of action, so we have to study collectively. We have to study what is the mode of action in Amlapitta management. So one, the broader mode of action is improvement in endothelial dysfunction. Now, these are some of our recent publications in terms of Vishesh Shodhit Google, Commiphora victi. We have proved that it protects the articular cartilage by down-regulating MMP 30 and COMP. One study on Amlapitta Mishran, 204 patient study we have published. Now we have initiated a study in 1500 patients, 1500 participants. So this is very important. I think Madam was talking about hypothyroidism. Now see, one thing we have to keep in mind, we cannot compete with modern medicine in all the aspects. See, they have only one medicine for hypothyroidism, that is levothyroxine. Now this medicine was developed 70-80 years ago. Do we think they could not develop a better medicine? No. There was no medicine which was better than levothyroxine. So there are many companies, many Vaidyas who claim that I have a medicine for hypothyroidism. So this is how can we compete with the hormone? Because what we consume is T4, no? We consume T4. The T4 is converted into T3 in our body. So there are some medicines like Kanchanar, like Commiphora victi, which help in conversion of T4 into T3. They can probably help in reducing the dose of levothyroxine. So that should be our claim. So we cannot boast. So this is where the name of Ayurveda is spoiled. So we are talking of integration. So we have to think our work in terms of integration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for an insightful session.
Your lecture was very wonderful. I just felt that your Vasanta Kusmakara Rasa is like Draupadi for so many patis, you know. So retinopathy, cardiomyopathy, nephropathy, for everything that is what is Sanjeevani. It is really wonderful. And I think, you know, if that is proved beyond doubt, and it will revolutionize the whole management of diabetic complications all over the world. Congratulations, sir.
This is the final in pediatric Jayada Hospital. Madam has tremendous work for the humanity, both in terms of clinical and human touch. Sir, madam, one thing also I want just to share with your thoughts. It was, this medicine was documented long before. What this company is taken over now for revalidations. The outcome of the product, they says, it is not only that, it is Ayushya. For the next generation, I want to share with you the outcome that called fallowshuti of this medicine is not limited to only there is diabetes. This is the beauty of Ayurveda. There are 3 lines. There are 12 molecules into this, and it is also Shrestha in infertility, Putra Kamadaha. Then also it is said that it is going to take over the Ayush, that means it's longevity. So I don't think so. Any medicine is said in modern medicine, I am not comparing here. You look for the thoughts. It is not one molecule medicines. There are 12 molecules have been composed for making these formulations, and it is biological, that means it is hair fall, all the age-related, and for the Ayush, that is called healthy living, this medicine is designed. Such a beauty of Ayurveda and what not. There are equally 10 outcomes of these products. Thank you.
And one more thing I wanted to suggest, you said that the fibrosis in the myocardium is reduced. Now we know that whenever there is a fibrosis, the cardiac arrhythmias and sudden death can occur. So especially after the corona, the myocardial fibrosis has been shown with the MRI. I think if this is tried even for myocarditis in children, I think it will go a long way in preventing the sudden cardiac death in the future.
Thank you, madam. A couple of comments. One is I was thinking for long COVID, if you could try this. I don't know if it's useful for people who don't have good Jataragni. Are there any complications because it's a Rasaushadhi? So you have to ensure that Jataragni is fine. My question to you was about the hypothyroid. You know, it would be very interesting to understand what is going on. When you said, no, you can't compete with thyroxine, you can actually, by just going to the nidana of why the person is not making their own thyroxine, people should be able to convert T3 to T4. Sorry, T4 to T3 in the body. So we should be able to find the actual reason why it's happening and not try to compete with the hormone molecule, but to try to compete with the physiologic pathway that is making the native thyroid hormones to come there. And I want to actually help, if I can, talk with you about how you could design a study about that, because there's something that Vasant Kushmakar-Ras is doing that I don't think you've uncovered with these reduction, like looking piecemeal. I think there's something profound that you also know, but we're still trying to figure out how to do those studies. And if we can figure out that in whole systems research, rather than these preclinical kind of studies, whole systems research is the future for Ayurveda because it's so multimodal. And I would love to have you talk to students about how they could design studies this way. So if you have any comments on what you think is the underlying basis, I would love to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, madam, first of all, for hypothyroidism, in hypothyroidism we have to prove it clinically, because in India what happens, an endocrinologist, TSH level less than 20 or less than 10, they don't treat it. They call it subclinical hypothyroidism. So in subclinical hypothyroidism, madam, Ayurvedic medicines can definitely work, because the problem is when a patient who is already taking 200 micrograms of levothyroxine, when he comes to an Ayurvedic doctor, some of the doctors, they haphazardly stop levothyroxine and they give Ayurvedic medicine. This is where the name of Ayurveda is spoiled. So we should know where our medicines will work and when it will work. Supported by a clinical study, we should know the mode of action, because this work on Visheshodit Gokul or Mamikara Vitti is an old work, and where they have proven that this Visheshwadit Gugul activates 5-deiodinase activity. Now this 5-deiodinase is the enzyme which is responsible for conversion of T4 into T3.
So it's cleaning out the thyroid tissue. It's doing the Lekana action of the thyroid tissue.
And for this Vasant Kusmakaras, we are already talking with national institutes regarding clinical studies. For example, when we talk of diabetic retinopathy, we require in-house ophthalmologists because it will require 2 to 3 years to complete this study. That okay, if our Vasant Kusmakaras, even if it slows down the progression of diabetic retinopathy, it is a win-win situation for Ayurveda because these are not small-term studies, these are long-term studies.
You see in the nature, so it's all regenerates. Yes. Soon after the long winter, exactly same thing is happening due to that Vasanta, it's in the body. And it's Kusmakara. So this next generation should take this Sanskrit word. Morning Madam was talking about from USA. We should understand the Sanskrit. Vasanta, Kusmakara. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We would also like to let you know that Shri Doodh Parameshwar Limited has been one of our major sponsors for our conference. May I now request Dr. Veena ma'am to sum up the session.
Good afternoon, everybody. Radhadirugan, Satathan, Shaktan, Sheshakayan, Prasatan, Sheshan, Autsukya Moharadhyana Jana, Yopuro Vaidhyaya Namustasmai. My humble pranamas to the lotus feet of Lord Dhanvantri and the dignitaries over here, our teacher, Dr. Mangalagi sir, and Guru Prasaraj sir and all. So, at the outset, I would like to congratulate the upcoming Cauvery Ayurveda Hospital, College and Hospital for organizing such a wonderful international conference on the Ahara, Vihara and Dinacharya. I congratulate Mukesh sir for elaborating and about the mode of action of Vasanta Kusmakarasa, which we regularly use in our clinical practice, how it works, and there was a great interaction regarding the mode of action, how it works over angiopathy and in turn the neuropathy. Neuropathy is also a part of angiopathy. And for the students, I would like to say you should not forget 3 S in the treatment of the Madhumeha or the diabetes mellitus. 3 S. The first S is Shilajatu. So this is one side Vasanta Kusmakarasa, and along with other the Yukti Vipashya medications, you should not forget Shilajatu. Shilajatu is like if you miss giving Shilajatu to a patient as a sign to the diabetes mellitus, as if you are missing a rose in a garden. So you should never miss giving Shilajatu to the patient. And the second one is what usually forgotten is diabetes mellitus is not only kapha vata. It is not only the kapha meda, it is vata also. So vata is kayena pavanaha prabhu. It is a vata variety is the madhumeha. The Acharya says you should go for sneha dravya. Yes, another yes. Shilajatu sneha. Sneha is siddhani telani gurthani chaiva meheshu deyani anilatmakeshu. For all anilatmaka meha, you should do sneha to the patient. How the sneha should be? Medasya tapasya. So, siddhani telani gurthani chaiva meheshu deyani anilatmakeshu. Medah tapasya kashayo snehesha vayu shamameti tesham. The chaila or the sneha should be prepared in such a way that The Kashaya Dravya in it should have the kapha and nether property, and Taila will palliate the Vata. For example, the Varunadhrita or even Indukantadhrita, all neuropathies and all the complications, because Vata will go into aggravate and a person will lose weight, and all Vataja complications are seen. And so even in such cases, so you have to give, at least not always, periodically you should take care of Vata. Unless Vata is taken care, no dosha and dushas are taken care in any of the diseases. The third S is the Shodhana in the preventive action. Because I hail from the department of Panchakarma. There says, if a person, see, it is like Dinacharya, Ahara, Vihara. Now we talk of Rutucharya in the disease, Prameha. That is, unless the Shodhana is done, Jara, Kritrena Labate, Chiram Jivate, Anamaya. If a person wants to live healthy, disease-free life, should go for Shodhana. And Shodhana is not only to the body, even if the Vamana Nechanas are done, the stresses also get managed. That is, Manaha Prasadam Apnoti Smritihi Samjacha Nidati. Manas gets prasanna, stress-free life can also be due to the Shodhana. So these are the 3 Yes. I conclude by saying this, and I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Krishna Prasad sir for giving me such a wonderful opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. May I now request Dr. Reena ma'am to kindly felicitate Dr. Mukesh sir. I request Dr. N. Krishnamurthy sir and Dr. Ramchandra Naisar sir to please come up on the stage. May I now request Professor Dr. Namita Tumaya ma'am to felicitate Dr. Reena ma'am.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to break for lunch now in a few minutes, and before that, I please request Dr. Krishna Prasad and Dr. N. Krishnamurthy to please come on stage, and we are gesture of gratitude to stalwarts in the field of Ayurveda, Dr. Krishna Prasad and Dr. N. Krishnamurthy on the stage, please. May I now request Dr. Ellen Shania to please come on stage and accept a token of our gratitude. Dr. N. Krishnamurthy. Dr. Ellen Shania, Assistant Director, Department of Ayush, Research, Ayush. Dr. S.G. Mangalagi, my teacher in Government College of Ayurveda, to please come on stage.
Please escort.
Dr. S.G. Mangalagi has been so accepting of inaugurating our post presentation session also today. Dr. S.G. Mangalagi. Dr. Chandrashekar'S Principal of Jesus Ayurveda Medical College. Please come on stage, sir. Please, please. Okay. Dr. Sadanand Pedakonde, sir, please. But Dr. Sadanand Pedakonde, sir. Shri Ravi Kumar, our advisor from Cauvery Ayurveda side, please come, sir. Okay. Yeah. So, thank you all. We will now break for lunch, and hopefully we should be back here by 2 o'clock in 15 minutes for the next session. So the lunch is organized at the beautiful sprawling basketball court lunch area. So we will all walk up to that area and assemble here again at 2:15 p.m. Thank you.